TFNB, your Bank for Life studio. This is 365 Sports. Presented by IdealMRI.com. Premium quality MRIs, convenient, affordable. That's Ideal. And by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, your insurance provider built by Texans for Texans. And we've been protecting families in our great state since 1952. TFNB, your bank for life, serving Central Texans since 1889. Now it's time for 365 Sports.
In college football, basketball, or athletics. Good afternoon, 365 Sports from the TFNB, your Bank for Life studio. David Smoak with Paul Catalina to my left and Craig Smoak to my right. And we have a lot of basketball to get to because the Sweet 16 tonight will start, including in Houston, etc., and in San Jose. We also have some football news, but here are the games tonight. 8 games over the next 2 days. Here are the 4 going on that will get people into the Sweet 16. The games tonight include Texas opening up the evening against Purdue in San Jose on CBS, followed by down in Houston, it is Iowa, Nebraska. That game is on TBS or True TV. Then after UT and Purdue close it out, Arkansas and Arizona in San Jose. And then later on tonight, the Arizona game against Houston. And that game is back at the Toyota Center in Houston. Those are the games tonight in college basketball.
You mean Illinois and Houston?
What did I say?
Arizona and Houston.
Oh, okay, Arizona. Yeah, Arizona's the night before. That's right. The game before that, that's in San Jose.
Yeah, it should be interesting games tonight. Purdue and Texas. I wonder with Texas how much of the fact that they just had to kind of grin and bear it and go through with 3 games in 5 days helped that momentum, and will stopping actually hurt them? Like, I know it seems counterintuitive to say that rest might slow you down, but sometimes, when you get on a hot streak, the worst thing that can happen is for you to have a day off, right?
Yeah, they played 3 games in 5 or 6 days and played them pretty well. They were on almost like they were in a zone, not a fog, but a zone. And so, yeah, all of a sudden you get a chance to take a deep breath. You could even get better, or you can get back to who you were before the tournament began.
Yeah, I suppose that could be in play. I think, though, playing as many games as they did, that Texas, of all teams, probably needed a break, as much of a groove as they were in. But, I think the full slate ought to be excellent. I think there's a lot of fun to be had later on tonight. But, yeah, Texas, Purdue. If Texas somehow finds their way to the Elite Eight, my goodness, that would really be something. And Sean Miller already off to a great start in Austin. And I think whatever your expectations were, they've already been exceeded. And now you're just playing with house money, seeing how far you can continue to take this thing. But a team that I'm not sure how much confidence they had at the beginning now has tons of it to play with. And so I expect to see a hell of a game between Texas and Purdue later on tonight. Iowa, Nebraska should be one of the most spirited crowds, I would think. Certainly a big-time Big Ten matchup there between those two. Arkansas, Arizona. That might be my game of the night, but then it's hard to pick a game of the night because
Absolutely.
they're all good. They're all good for different reasons. But Arizona, Arkansas, I could see that being like a national championship game happening in the Elite Eight or happening in the round of 16. So that one's going to be incredible. And then Illinois, Houston, same thing. Ought to be fantastic basketball. These are great matchups. Tomorrow's a lot of fun as well. Good to have a little bit of a break just after the deluge of so many games in such a short amount of time. You kind of do need to catch your breath. And so we got a chance to do that. And now we get to have basketball for the next 4 days and whittle this thing down even further. And I'm looking forward to it, but it's a hell of a slate tonight.
And they are some bangers tonight, no question. And then, of course, the right next to each other with the Iowa and Nebraska. Last time they played was in the Big Ten tournament, and Nebraska beat Iowa 84-75. They played during the season at Iowa. Iowa won that game. And then, of course, Purdue's the one that went on to do well in the Big Ten tournament. So there we are with those games going on tonight. And then there's the story of Will Wade. We mentioned there could be some movement about Wade leaving NC State, going back to LSU, where he was fired because he was caught on a wiretap talking about money and paying a player. And then it took a little while, but then eventually he was fired, went to McNeese State, did well, then ended up at North Carolina State. There's his statement. Will Wade was at NC State for 1 year. LSU has pulled off Lane Kiffin and now Will Wade, tons of money. McMahon, oh, by the way, fired today, if maybe not last night. And you just, I mean, they have put together Mulkey at women's basketball. You've got Johnson, the baseball coach, an enormous amount of money, and they are loaded up on their coaching staff. This has got a little grease to it. So this is a little bit weird. Now, I know what he was doing, 4 years ago or whatever, is now legal. So you see that a lot, but this one's a little bit strange to me. Not surprised, but strange.
Well, the governor of Louisiana made a point to it, when he was on his rant about Brian Kelly. And, there was all this, behind the scenes palace intrigue about how upset they were that Will Wade had been fired and everything he did is now pretty much legal in college athletics for the most part. So they wanted him back. I do wonder if you can ever go home again because it's been a few years, but Will Wade's a really good coach. He should be able to hit the ground running. They do not care about coaches who are warm and fuzzy. That's for damn sure at LSU because their three major coaches are all bristly. Maybe a lot, but hey, Verge Osbury can deal with those big personalities, and if they win, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, this is interesting to me.
It's a hell of an all-star crew. I've seen, I think LSU is unique in that we talk about alignment in these universities and these athletic programs as far as the president gets along with the AD, who gets along with the football coach, who gets along with the basketball coach, and you have all this alignment and things, and that's typically where you find some success. I think the interesting, unique thing about LSU is that pervades throughout their entire state and their fandom, that it really nothing matters except for LSU winning at all costs. Like, it does not matter who the coach is or how they got there. If they win, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter if you'd fired them 3 times before. Doesn't matter if they pushed a kid over and just kicked them and then walked away and said, screw you, kid. If they win, it doesn't matter. And I'm going a little bit overboard there, but I think there's probably some Louisiana guy would be like, well, did the kid deserve it? Did Will Wade did the kid provoke Will Wade or whatever? My point just being that LSU does not care about anything but winning. That's all they care about is winning in athletics. And that is where they have the greatest alignment in all of college sports. Because now they've had this disruption of things leading to Brian Kelly having to leave and previously Will Wade having to leave and AD changes. And now you've got a guy in Verge Osbury who's basically saying, here's a blank check, go win and do whatever it takes to win. And it's thanks to Father Time allowed him to go bring Will Wade back into the program. And thanks to the money able to go get Lane Kiffin and thanks to the money able to get Kim Mulkey years ago and keep sinking money into the women's basketball program and getting a national championship, at least in return, and maybe more. We'll see how that goes. We know how proud they are in baseball and how good they've been in baseball. They are a program that I highlighted multiple times as being like the kings of NIL. I mean, when you looked back at Jaden Daniels and Livy Dunn and Angel Reese and all these personalities, Paul Skeens, think about all those personalities that rolled through there in about a 3-year time period. Angel Reese, Livy Dunn, Paul Skeens, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow. Yeah, all these stars, mega stars. They had 10 of them in a 2-year, 3-year stretch. So when NIL hit, nobody was better positioned to take advantage of that than LSU with their personalities. And again, their backing. I mean, I think unlike any other university, have the alignment where it extends all the way across from the president's office, the governor's office, to the rest of the fandom as well. So they embrace being the villains. This is definitely a step forward to becoming more of the villains because now they've got the rogues gallery of coaches. I've seen them bragging about that a lot on Twitter today of you're just jealous or you're just hating or whatever. But yeah, we're leaning into being the villains. And I think that they will be because they've got a lot of coaches that are really excellent, but are also really unlikable if they're not on your team. So they're probably the most unlikable athletic department, but you know who loves that more than anything? The people of Louisiana and LSU. They embrace that and want to be that. And so, yeah, they've got the alignment of all alignments going on right now, and they've got an all-star coaching staff that they put together. And you know what? No one's better positioned to also take advantage of it because, as we pointed out, the stuff Will Wade was getting in trouble for, they can just say, here, dude, We'll write the check out in the open. Go spend however you want to get whoever you want to. So yeah, you can pull the whole, well, that was then, this is now card. And so yeah, Verge Osbury taking a big swing, and LSU is basically saying, here's our, you know what, on the table, and do something about it is basically what they've said.
They don't have to wiretap. They can just call Will Wade and say, hey, we want to record you talking to a client, a player with, and he can. He's back. They have put together one hell of a staff. And again, if it was your school, would you be good with it?
Of course.
If they win, absolutely. And so, but the fact they've got who's the biggest personality in that room? If you get Mulkey, Kiffin, Wade, I'm not sure how much of a, and then Jay Johnson, the baseball coach. He's the highest paid baseball coach. Mulkey was the highest paid women's coach until Don Staley got a new extension. And then Kiffin's one of the highest paid coaches in football. And now with what Will Wade would make, we don't know that yet.
Well, I bet if you put him in a room, Kim Mulkey would have ultimately emerged as the biggest personality because she would refuse to lose that contest, I would imagine. I don't feel like I've seen enough Jay Johnson to really feel like I can group him into the personality grouping like with Mulkey or Kiffin. And that's just maybe me not seeing enough of him. And then with Will Wade, I've seen a good bit of him, but I'm trying to think if he's ever really struck me as like the huge personality type. Maybe I need to see more of him as well. But I've seen my fill of Kiffin and Mulkey. And yeah, those two are definitely a pretty high bar to set. And I mean, it's a very interesting time and a very exciting time if you're an LSU fan. And it's a crazy grouping of coaches that you probably never thought. It's almost like in Mad Libs. If you're like, what are these random names we could all put together to have the most controversial coaching group in all of college sports? Well, I think you've got a good start on it with the group that you've assembled so far. Now with Will Wade joining the likes of Kiffin and Mulkey especially. But yeah, I mean, on the one hand, I give them a ton of credit. I mean, like I said, they have alignment. They know what the goal is. Go win. How do we get there? I don't care how we do it. Just get there and go win. That's all that matters. We're not worried about this thing or the other thing or making people happy or making sure that we're not rubbing people the wrong way or we're not stressing over this element over here. Like we know what our mission is. We're telling you what our mission statement is. Now do something about it, is basically what LSU is saying, because they put together a pretty incredithe group of coaches on paper.
They did. Here it is from just 2 weeks ago. We had Shelby Swanson on yesterday, covers college basketball at the News and Observer. She was at a press conference. Will Wade was there, and she asked him the question about speculation. This is from 2 weeks ago at a post-game or just a pre-game press conference.
Shelby Swanson with the News and Observer. Just a lot of talk with you and potential position at LSU. Just wanted to see if anybody from that campus reached out to you and just give you an opportunity to speak on that.
No, is the job open there? Huh? No. So why would, I'm not, listen, to be very clear. I'm excited at NC State. I was hired at NC State to do a job. This wasn't going to take 1 year. I've already met with our administration about next year and some of the changes that we need to make and some of the things that we need to do to put this program where it deserves long term. So I don't, you know, I'm not on social media. I'm not into gossip. I'm not into any of that sort of stuff. But look, we're going to win, and we're going to win big at NC State, and that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do moving forward. And we have the resources we need. We have what we need. And so me and my staff to get the job done. And look, this year hadn't gone exactly how we wanted it to, but we're going to rally, and we're going to work hard, and we're going to have a team next year that's ready to roll.
All right. Again, the job may not have been offered to him yet, or may not have been open because McMahon was still the head coach. Apparently, earlier this week, he met with the officials at NC State about more money, I'm sure for himself, but also for his staff. There was a certain number, did not work. Eventually, this thing turned quickly with Will Wade and LSU.
I get the feeling, and I don't mean to cast aspersion based on past history, but the history of Louisiana politics has never been really out in the open. When you got the governor a few months ago just, saying how badly he wanted Will Wade back, it wasn't a good look for it's not a good look for Jeff Landry to be so involved in something. But when you're Matt McMahon and you're sitting there going like, I know things haven't gone well, but damn, dude,
you are twisting in the wind.
Yeah, I mean, you're sitting there twisting in the wind for so long. I know that there were probably some behind the scenes convos going on for everyone, and I think that was it was probably in the works to see how it went. Will Wade definitely still carried a torch for that LSU job, and it didn't feel like his firing was justified, and especially given how things have changed there. It sucks for NC State to have to do this again after a year, but he said the right thing. The job wasn't open yet, but everything he said there was right. But I think that he was always going back to LSU as soon as it opened, because 4 or 5 months ago, they basically told Matt McMahon, you got to win big or we're going to go try to hire Will Wade again.
Now that I saw that video clip, I'm reminded of his personality. So, yeah, he fits right in with the rest of them. So, it's been a little while since I'd really taken in much Will Wade due to a complete lack of interest. But now, I mean, he's going to be front and center more than he has been for the last couple of years, even though he did a good job at McNeese. And then, obviously, it was pretty high profile for him to go to NC State. Now I'm reminded in seeing that clip of like, okay, yeah, he'll fit right into the rest of the lineup there. And I can imagine this was probably going on for quite a while. I think his defensiveness there is pretty clear. While he said the right things, I'd be willing to put my next couple paychecks on the fact that there was back channel discussion going on, and probably has been for a while. I mean, it's clear that they've never really gotten over him, and it's clear he's never really gotten over them. And so the first opportunity they got that made sense to get them back together, they were able to do that. And it's a hell of a hire on paper for LSU. And I think the hard part is, if you're an NC State fan, just feeling like, well, we fell for it. we thought, just like so many fan bases have fallen for so many other coaches at some point, even some of the bigger schools. But NC State fans, as you can imagine, definitely not too happy today, nor should they be. But they also shouldn't be too surprised at all by this either. So, they're definitely showing their anger. Not that it's going to change anything. And if NC State and LSU meet in the tournament at some point sooner rather than later, then I think that'd be some fun TV.
Here is from Tuffy Central on Twitter. If I had a gun with 2 bullets and Will Wade, Osama bin Laden, and Hitler in the same room, I'm shooting Will Wade twice.
Who said that?
An NC State fan put that up there. Hey, oh, my God. Yeah, they're angry. Now,
well, the other 2 are already dead. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, he wouldn't need to use them.
Would you?
So the last year he was there, 22-12. They were a 6th seed. He was fired that year. A year before that, round of 32. In 2019, his second year there, they were in the Sweet 16 as a number 3 seed. Of course, 2020. They've had good records with him, no doubt about it. And LSU's had 1 winning season or 1 season above 500 since, in fact, and no tournament appearances he left.
Well, NC State can't be surprised. I mean, it's one of those things where if you lie in bed with a snake or, you walk into the wolf's den, don't be surprised when one of the wolves like bites back at you, or you lie with snake. What's the phrase I'm looking for here?
If you lie down with dogs, you get fleas.
Yeah, dogs. I'm saying there's snakes. I guess both.
If you play with snakes, you get bit.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I'm going for here. So whatever you want to categorize Will Wade as, I did see that metaphor or something close to it earlier today as well, and I'm sure there's some element of Will Wade fandom or LSU fans that would push back on that and call us sour grapes or whatever. But yeah, NC State fans have every right to be pissed, but again, they shouldn't be shocked. And not shocked by the fact that he left, but just not shocked that Will Wade decided to go back to LSU at the first chance that he got. Because again, it felt like that relationship, while it was over, was never completely broken, because it just always felt like there was still sort of an attraction there of some sort where they were still sort of connected. And you wondered, man, are they going to find their way to wind back around to this one day? And I think it just happened a lot quicker than anybody could have anticipated. But I don't think anybody's really or should be shocked by it. Certainly not him deciding to leave NC State for LSU, but it is a blow to the ego for NC State. If you want to chalk it up as another example of big school takes from not quite as big school, or however you want to look at that angle, you could do that as well. I think this is more about just Will Wade and and being at LSU previously and wanting to get back there and finish what he started. And yes, LSU is a bigger school than NC State, pretty much across the board at this point. So any way you look at it, you understand his decision, but it is also just a tough pill to swallow. And it's another one of those examples where the next time you hear somebody go, we got to limit the players, you go, here's example 1,462 of coaches doing the things that you don't want the players to do. So we're against the guy transferring in spring, but Will Wade can turn around and leave NC State for LSU after a short amount of time. And so that conversation will just never end, because there's no good way for one side to end that argument of, well, what the coaches do it, or the coaches do it. And every few months, there's a new example of it. And with LSU, we've gotten a couple of examples just in this last year of coaches moving in the middle of a season or shortly after a season. And so when you sit there and try to go, oh, players, you can't do that, you just point to LSU and go, why the hell not?
Yeah.
Just look at this one school over the last 6 months. Tell us why the players can't have freedom of movement.
Yeah. Now, what about going to happen in North Carolina? They, again, probably going to let this thing run its course to see what teams don't make it through the weekend. But TJ Otzelberger, it was almost as if, man, there must be some damn good teams and coaches in this Sweet 16, because a lot of them had to discuss the opening or discussion about North Carolina. And TJ Otzelberger yesterday afternoon did not waste any time when he met with the media.
All right, let's do that. First, I'd just like to start by saying any speculation with me and any other jobs or opportunities is not true. The coach of the Cyclones, thrilled to be the coach of the Cyclones, and what I can say to you even more as we move forward together is the alignment on our campus with Dr. Cook, Jamie Pollard, is amazing, and we're thrilled and excited about our future together. So really appreciative and grateful to Jamie Pollard and David Cook and conversations we've had, and so just excited about our future. So that's topic number one. There's no questions about it. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing else to answer. That's the truth.
All right, so that's TJ Otzelberger. Let's cut that off. Jamie Pollard, the AD, put this up yesterday afternoon soon as well from Jamie Pollard. Excited for Cyclone Nation that TJ is not going anywhere. He will be our basketball coach for a long time. Now let's have an exciting, successful time this weekend in Chicago. Road to the Final Four. That's the AD and Jamie Pollard.
Yeah, I think TJ Otzelberger would be a great hire for anybody. I think he's one of the best coaches in the country, and he's only getting better each and every year. And it's both sides. I mean, they have the best three-point shooter in the country on one side of it, and they've got one of the best defensive teams. Mark Pope said it perfectly last week and said he could go get 5 guys from a rec league, and in a week he's gonna wear your ass out. Like, that's how good he is as a defensive coach. I'm curious just to see, and this is not a knock on TJ Otzelberger. It's just based on recent hirings at North Carolina. I think they're going to swing at a really big fish first, and I think that big fish is Billy Donovan. He didn't deny his interest when asked about it. He just said his focus is on the Bulls right now. But if I'm Billy Donovan, where are the Bulls going? Like, where is that going with your career? Because he can be as good of a coach as he wants, but especially in professional sports, you're only as good as your ownership and GM allow you to be. And since Michael Jordan retired, what's the best thing you can say about the Bulls? So, yeah, I would think he's very interested in it. He's 60 years old, and he's won 2 titles already back in the day at Florida. I think he'd be a nice addition to North Carolina to get them back going where they want to, and it would make everybody, I think, the fans happy. And to me, Billy Donovan is not just a big, like, oh, let's make him say no thing. I think that's actually a pretty good fit.
There's been a lot of speculation about Billy Donovan leaving regardless of this job opening up. So it would fit on a timeline for him to potentially see his exit out. And then turns out there's this great job that's also available. So if you do want to, in fact, keep coaching since you're only 60 years old, then this seems like a hell of a transition and the perfect timing to perhaps do that. So I think if you're in North Carolina, you're definitely not trying to make the quickest hire possible. You're trying to land the most impressive coach that you can possibly get. And a guy like Billy Donovan returning to the college game after all this time would certainly be a really significant splash. So I'm sure they're doing their due diligence on him and anybody else that would make any bit of sense. They're all out there on these hot boards at this point, and some have already kind of had holes poked through them, or some their denials or lack of denials, or just add more fuel to the fire. Like Donovan hasn't come out and said, no, I'm not interested in that. Until he does, then there's going to be speculation that means that he must be interested in it. So this thing is just like 2 days old. So I don't think there's any rush for them to make a decision, but I do think there is a lot of big names that are going to at least be getting phone calls, and I'm super intrigued because there's some big time jobs opened up. And this one's about as big as it gets in this part of the sports world. So we've seen some of the big football programs lately have to hire new guys like Alabama or Michigan. Now we see on the basketball side, one of the same types of hires now being made. And I'm looking forward to seeing who that is ultimately, but to get TJ Otzelberger scratched off that list, I know it's got to feel great for Iowa State fans, because that's about as emphatic of a just a denial as you can make, especially compared to what some of the other guys have said. So I think, if you're an Iowa State fan, you slept good after seeing that, or was that today or yesterday?
Yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, so you slept good after seeing that, and you feel now you can just fully invest yourself in this Sweet 16 run and whatever comes of that, as opposed to being distracted like we've seen with a lot of other teams over the years.
Which is exactly what Jamie Pollard's hoping happens when he made that comment. Like, let's get and go enjoy a time. They play tomorrow night late against Tennessee. That game is in Chicago, as he mentioned. Speaking of that, Joshua Jefferson, Otzelberger saying that he will be a game-time decision amid all the speculation that he also had, or at least he hit straight on. It's a game-time decision. No one will know. Maybe there'll be something that leads before that. But Jefferson, they lost him. They've won without him, and they expect, again, they hope to keep moving forward. They'd love to get him back, though. He's a hell of a player.
If they, I would not expect him to play in the first game, just as looking as severe as that injury is. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's saying game time decision just as gamesmanship overall, because that did not look like a 1 week injury when it happened. So, and ankles, there are certain things that you can play through and they kind of heal as you go. Ankles are not one of them. Ankles, you have to, there's a reason they had him on the little cart, because they didn't even want him walking on it in the boot, all of that. So all of those things go into it. But it would be great if it wasn't as severe as it looked and he could play. That'd be awesome. It'd be great for Iowa State, because he's kind of the engine that makes it go most of the time for them. They were able to win without him. That's because they play great defense. And, if you get your offense even, 80% of where it was without Joshua Jefferson with that defense, you're pretty much in every game.
That game tips off late tomorrow night. It's the last game of the 8 inside the Sweet 16. Ryan Hammer, we had him on last week. This year, then, Craig, your thoughts. He said TJ won't leave because of these reasons. One, he's able to build title contenders in Ames. It's home for him. He spent 13 years there. Wife is an ISU Hall of Famer. He's a Midwest guy in his dream job. $4 million a year in Ames. You can call him, because he's amazing. But I think he will stay put. So that was from Ryan Hammer, just with his 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, those are all very valid reasons. I think I've heard arguments like that before, only to see a guy leave the next day. But I do think in this case that TJ Otzelberger's staying at Iowa State for the foreseeable future, and I do think he has a good gig, and I do think there is something to be said for not having the same amount of pressure, but still having all of the other things that you need to be successful. So North Carolina is not going to be cut out for everybody, and that's okay. We'll see, again, who they get. It's going to be a big name come hell or high water. If it's not, then this whole thing was a massive failure on the part of UNC leadership. So got to suspect that they feel like they're going to get somebody, and they should. It's freaking North Carolina. Like, they better there better be a line of head coaches wanting to go there. And if not, then what the hell's going on out there in Chapel Hill? So if it's not TJ Otzelberger, they'll be okay. But I think it's, again, a great thing for Iowa State fans to be able to roll into the weekend and go, okay, we're good. We don't have to sleep with one eye open and be afraid this entire time while we're rooting for TJ to win this next game, that if they don't, he's holding a press conference tomorrow to announce he's leaving. Or if they do, we got to continue to hear like Matt Rule at the Sugar Bowl years ago, just it all being kind of ruined, quite frankly, by the constant speculation going on in the background to where you can't even enjoy the ride that you're on. I'm glad that ISU is not going to have to really go through that, it appears.
Tommy Lloyd had to answer questions. They're playing tonight down in Houston. They're the last game tonight. The third game tonight in San Jose. I keep getting those two mixed up. Arkansas, what a great game that could be. And we'll hear from John Calipari in just a moment. But Tommy Lloyd, here's his thoughts yesterday. Just go down the list.
HQ, maybe you're glad I'm going last, but you may have heard there's an opening in Chapel Hill. Your name is being bandied about pretty prominently. I don't know if you want to make news or address that too specifically, but I would think at a relatively early point in your head coaching career, the fact that when the best jobs in America open up, your name is thrown into that must be pretty nice. So take that anywhere you want.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks. I preferred the first question about Mixmaster Mike. What I'll say, Seth, is I already have one of the best jobs in the country. And one thing we talk about in our program all the time, and I think I've gotten better at, and I think our team's been crushing it this year, is just the ability to have full focus and be present in the moment. And so I think we have a great team. I think we have a chance to advance in this tournament game by game, but I'm not delusional. I know we could lose tomorrow, but this team deserves my full focus. So there's not one thing that is going to knock me off my path. I'm 100% focused on Arizona basketball and this program, and I can't wait till the ball gets thrown up tomorrow, and then can't wait to try to figure out a way to come out on top.
So we've heard Otzelberger, we've heard Tommy Lloyd, obviously we've heard from Iowa State's AD. There's others, but that's Tommy Lloyd now with the Wildcats playing tonight.
I know that UNC is one of the silver tuna jobs, but I think Arizona is pretty close to that too, especially right now with, you're in the deepest basketball conference. Obviously they have, and they, before NIL, when Sean Miller was there, they had money to get players. I mean, this all part of the same Will Wade big thing. So they've always kind of done that when it comes to basketball, and they have the support for it. So, it'd have to be a pretty big swing of an offer to get somebody like Tommy Lloyd, unless there's somebody somewhere he's always wanted to be. But, he's always been kind of a West Coast guy anyway. So Arizona is the perfect spot for him. Even at UNC, and we saw this with Scott Drew in Kentucky a couple years ago, the grass isn't always greener on that other side. And he's got Arizona right here, in my opinion, with the best team in the country. Why couldn't you do that again? Why do you need to go to UNC and prove anything? So I don't think that UNC is so much better of a job than Arizona right now that it would just be like, oh, I've got to take it.
Yeah, I don't think that that was the denial Arizona fans were hoping for. I also don't think it's the end of the world either to completely sit there and just open the portal to, oh, he's definitely going to Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I think he's at a comparable job. I think Arizona's still playing and North Carolina's not, right? So I think he's got something else to focus on, no matter how desirable that job may be. But regardless, that's not I'm not totally interested. That's a not right now kind of a thing more than anything else. So you can read into that however you want to, but it's the coach speak that you would expect when you aren't going to say no and completely shoot it down when you could stand to gain from it. You could stand to gain from further reporting about how much North Carolina is their number one target's Tommy Lloyd. You turn around and use that and say, like, hey, kid, it's between Arizona and North Carolina. Well, I had that choice too. Look what I did. Come to Arizona. That's where I'm going to be. That's what I'm doing. And so you can use that. You can use that to drive up your contract. You can use that to motivate your sponsors, your donors. You can use that, and I think that's what he's doing, is he's using the rumor mill and the speculation to just further cement himself, hopefully in Tucson for the foreseeable future, because, I don't think that North Carolina is, based on what we know, that much bigger of a step up from a school that very well may win the national championship here in about 2 weeks. Here in about 2 weeks, they might win the national championship. So, I don't think Tommy Lloyd's all that concerned with North Carolina right now. I think the agents are handling that, and I think his agents would be doing a disservice if they just shut it down entirely, unless it gets to the point where the rumors get so hot that it does start to maybe affect Arizona and does start to go, okay, we're not talking about the Elite Eight now. We're talking more about Tommy Lloyd, and the players are being asked about it. And then if it becomes a distraction, maybe you have to stomp it out entirely. But I think it's too early for that. Now, why not do what TJ Otzelberger did? because they're cut from a different cloth. And TJ Otzelberger has decided, I don't care about trying to use this as leverage. I want to solely focus on this, and I really have no desire to ever go anywhere else, so I'm going to stay here, and that's totally his right to do so. And Tommy Lloyd may be being told different things by his agent, or may think like, yeah, let me just play this out a little bit, or I'm really not thinking about it too much right now because I am solely focused on this. So you can read into that however many ways you want to. I think ultimately Tommy Lloyd's going to be at Arizona.
And even if he was to say, listen, I'm not leaving Arizona, we've seen that. No matter what he says, you can dissect it and try to analyze it. And then they're playing. Go ahead.
There's no winning when it comes to that.
Yeah,
like you can't say
no
the right
matter
thing.
what you say. Yeah. No, I mean, he could, or he could say, listen, I'm excited. Thank you very much and all that. But and then they're playing Arkansas. One more note, then we're going to take a break and come back with a few more nuggets to close out the first hour. John Calipari in Arkansas. He was asked about, and he has like, well, he'll say this, 3 incoming 5-star high school guys, but just as who they play and the ages and the players that the opponents have these days.
You've obviously relied on freshmen for a long time. Is it different in today's game when you have, some teams using 23, 24, older guys?
25, 26, 27.
Yeah. Is it different relying on
Beards,
freshmen?
kids in the stands, on their second wife. Yeah, this is a little bit different. So then you say, well, why are they staying in school so long? For the money. I don't blame them. I do not blame them. It's our fault that we have nothing that prohibits age. Make it 25. Kids transfer 5 times. Why? It's the same reason. Can I get more money somewhere? That's why if you put your name in the portal and you're on my team, you're out. I'm not going to be extorted. You know where we stand on things. So it's, yes, harder with freshmen. Now, we just brought in 3 5-star freshmen, all physically able to guard 24 and 25-year-olds. If you're not physically able to withstand a 25 or 26, it's really dangerous. But the 3 that we just signed, they're all, I can call them beasts.
All right, there you go with John Calipari tonight against that I might be looking for. Of course, I don't know what Nebraska, Iowa's going to be, but I look forward to that game. Arkansas's won like 5 or 6 in a row to close it out. Won the SEC, now in the 3rd round, Sweet 16. So that game tonight, that might be one hell of a game. It should be. Yeah.
I think it's if I had to pick one game to watch tonight, I think that's the one I would pick to watch. I think with this in particular, I go back to a quote from The Dark Knights, the Batman movie, either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And I feel like we're at a point now in college sports where guys like Calipari are the opposite. They could go by the mantra of either die a villain or live long enough to see yourself become the hero. I think that's what's happened here, because the guy who used to maybe bend the rules a bit or get himself in a little bit of trouble trying to slide an envelope one way or the other or whatever, all those things back in the day, they were hindrances and against the rules are now no longer. And now a guy like Calipari is perfectly positioned to take full advantage of and thrive in an environment like this and have a knowledge of the environment. And so now we appreciate his raw honesty and his refreshing thoughts on all of this. Whereas 5 years ago, 10 years ago, scum, bastard, cheater, like all these things. And now it's, well, he was actually for the kids all along. He was always just trying to get them money, these poor kids, and he's just trying to better their lives. And so now he's become the hero that people look to tell us about how things are in this landscape now. It's just wild that we found ourselves here, but that's how much college sports have changed.
We got to sit through a couple press conferences with John Calipari, Smokey and I, back in the day when Baylor played them in the Elite Eight, and he softened up a little bit, I think, after Kentucky. Now that he's at Arkansas and the rules are different, I'll give him that. His thing is he's a bit of a pontificator and then pretends like he's not part of the issue. Like, it's not me. I'm not part of the issue. Yeah. I'm just playing the game here, guys. You're like, well, you can't pretend to be above it when you're in it.
From a guy who actually won a biggest cheater poll years ago when CBS Sports, I believe, I came across that a while back. It was funny that they had a biggest cheater poll at one point, and he was the top guy.
Yeah, it's very much a don't hate the player, hate the game. kind of a speech. And like sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. But he's a fantastic coach. He and Kentucky just ran out of gas together, and now he's in Arkansas. He's got a bunch of chicken nugget money backing him. He's getting the players that he wants to get. Arkansas is a basketball crazy school, always has been. And, you know, like it's working out. Everybody's happy right now. It's amazing how when the coach is happy, when the alumni are happy, when the AD is happy, everybody's happy. Like you can be productive. So, you know, it's not rocket surgery.
He's won wherever he's been, and there's been a few things where he's left behind a little trash, but he seems to be in a really good place at Arkansas and Fayetteville.
Well, I think he's in a good place because he's at a big school with a rich basketball history, but he's also able to just freely go. Like the whole Marcus Camby thing from years ago would have been entirely different in this day and age. You get in trouble for paying Marcus Camby tens of thousands of dollars, allegedly, and now he would be making that out in the open. You'd be bragging about it, and there'd be a couple more zeros on the end of it.
That would tens of thousands of dollars would just be for him to show up at a car dealership.
To show up on his recruiting visit.
Yeah.
Because now we hear about guys getting like six figures just to show up and name a city for their spring photo shoot or whatever the hell the case may be. So, yeah, I mean, he was ahead of the curve, I guess, in a way. If anything, it was allegedly against the rules what he was doing, but he never got popped directly himself. From my recollection, you could just insinuate and assume a lot of things, but yeah, a lot of denial and plausible deniability and things like that. But it's a different era now, and so what didn't pass then passes now. And I think he's a guy that does have a bit of wisdom, but yeah, he can pontificate a bit and be like, well, that's not me doing that. It's like, okay, pal. But either way, he's fun to listen to. I think Arkansas is in hog heaven, pun intended, right now, and really will be just over the moon if they can keep this thing going. They're a really good team. It's going to be an excellent basketball game, excellent coaching matchup, and I'm very much looking forward to it. But, yeah, it's definitely a different era, and you can tell just by the way coaches are talking about all these things.
Yeah, and the styles of those two will be fun to watch mixed in together. We'll come back with the first game tonight is Texas and Purdue. We know the story about UT, 18-14, free fall at the end, lost to a 12-19 team in the SEC tournament, but they got in. And if you're in, you have a chance. It means you have a chance, and UT's trying to take advantage of that into the Sweet 16. Sean Miller and his perspective, because if they win, Arizona would be next, and his thoughts about what Arizona fans might be thinking, in fact, if that occurs. This is 365 Sports. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. Marco's Pizza is the fastest growing pizza brand in America. You go to marcos.com, marcos.com. Bob Mock owns 5 locations in the Waco area. And Marco's Pizza with specials online, go to their website. I can right now, not on it, but go to their website. There will be 2 or 3, 4 things for sure that like rotate slide from one side to the other. One will be some sort of multi-topping pizza for a certain price. One will be a probably all meat pizza or all pepperoni, like the pepperoni magnifico, that pizza. Then there's going to be something that's more like sweet tasting that kind of give you that little taste of Cinnabons or something like that. And then there's also going to be one that is just all of it combined, like a special lunch or for dinner, whatever you have. Marco's Pizza. 5 locations in Waco, Belmead, Robinson, China Spring, Woodway, and also in Hewitt. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
That's my go-to guy. Can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a T-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
We're celebrating the Declaration of Deals at Allen Samuels in Waco. Right now, get $11,000 off a new Ram 1500 Lone Star, plus 2.9% for 72 months. Cash in on $11,000 off a new Ram 2500 Lone Star Crew Cab, or choose 0% for 36 months, plus no payments for 90 days. Feel secure with America's best full-size truck powertrain 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty at Allen Samuels.
Bold are the adventurous. Determined are the leaders. Faithful are the healers. At Baylor, you'll find your calling, your people, and your purpose. Dare to be you, indeed.
It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, your bank for life.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Oh, good one.
100%. Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Yeah, floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels. We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
This 3 o'clock hour is brought to you by QC Kinetics. Feel better, move better, live better with regenerative medicine using your body's own healing abilities for natural pain relief. No surgery, no drugs, no downtime. With locations in Dallas and Houston at QCkinetics.com. Now it's time for 365 Sports.
Thank you for watching us, and hit the like button if you haven't, or subscribe if you haven't. And if you have done that, share it, what we do on 365 Sports and YouTube. Rez and Garrett, Andrew helping run, and Logan today helping run the mothership. So there is UT and their game against Purdue tonight to open everything up. Sean Miller, who has been really good wherever he's been, including Arizona, Xavier, etc., on about how he feels like the Arizona fans in the same region might react to him.
They haven't. I would hope they would cheer for us. We're the 11 seed. You know, if I were them, I'd want us to win. But my relationship with Arizona is nothing but great. I have 3 sons. They all attended the University of Arizona, and each of them had an amazing experience. 2 of the 3, their girlfriend, potentially maybe who they end up with as their wife, also went to Arizona. I was there for 13 years. Have friendships that will last a lifetime. Our family was treated incredibly well. And then, you know, my perspective of just watching Arizona, they couldn't have hired a better coach. I mean, what he has done is just, it's like legendary. And I know that the team that they have this year might be the best team at Arizona, one of the best ever. So that's where that stands. I mean, if we would beat Purdue, I'm at Texas. That would be like amazing. We're playing in the Elite Eight. But the other part of it doesn't really exist for me. You know, I think with that emotion, you can either burn the house down or make it warmer. And, you know, I look at that place and that experience as nothing but just making my house warmer. I have nothing but positive thoughts, feelings, and perspectives towards that experience.
He made a comment earlier this year, Paul and Craig, about that. He goes, we're really bad. We're really, really good at one thing. We foul people a lot. And it frustrated him because he wants them to play tough defense, get in your face defense. But man, they were just sending people to the free throw line left and right. And they're playing I saw a couple of former coaches. And in fact, one of them was Jay Wright, who said one of the things that his team is doing right now is they're hitting clutch shots, no question, but they are playing really good defense.
Yeah, they are. And yeah, I'm not surprised. Sean Miller, you know, he's gone through a couple other things since then. I don't think, you know, the partying in Arizona was, you know, given everything that had happened, was kind of all that surprising for anybody, just given the temperature of the entire country when it came to that all that went on around DeAndre Ayton, and then he had one of his assistants was caught up in the FBI thing, all of that. So yeah, no, this is, I don't think that you should care. Now there's some times where it does go bad. So good for him for not caring, or at least, being at peace enough to not care as much as he does. I'm sure part of him cares a little bit. He's competitive.
Yeah, I think Sean Miller's a really good coach. Obviously, the Arizona situation ended pretty ugly with the whole FBI investigation, the wiretaps, Christian Dawkins, all that stuff that was occurring that eventually led to them moving on. He had a lot of success there. They had also kind of started to plateau as far as their depth into the tournament. Not a guy that got to the Final Four or played for a championship. And it could be really interesting that would be what's in the way of Tommy Lloyd in Arizona potentially getting to a Final Four, would be having to go up against Sean Miller and Texas, and that be right on the line for him as well. But looking back on that now, especially all these years later, and again with the way the whole room has changed and been rearranged as far as the rules or lack thereof and just kind of the temperature, I think it's best to let bygones be bygones. I don't know that there was ever really hard feelings on the part of Arizona fans. That was also kind of long ago now at this point. I mean, not forever ago, but it does seem like a lifetime ago. So I think everybody's moved on. If you're an Arizona fan, what the hell do you care? Tommy Lloyd's got you playing great basketball, and it worked out well for you in the end, unless you were just a super Sean Miller fan. And if you're Sean Miller, you're at the University of Texas. Like, it could definitely be a lot worse than where you ultimately found yourself after going through all of that. It was definitely a tough emotional time when they parted ways, I would imagine, for both sides, and given all that was swirling around there. But one of those situations where I kind of look at it's like the Kyle Whittingham and Morgan Scalley story that you could try to make as polarizing as you want to make. But ultimately, my reaction to it was, and I guess this would be very boring, this isn't great for shorts or whatever, but so basically what you're telling me is people had agreed to one thing, they didn't really want to do that, but ultimately everybody ended up happy? Is that what you're telling me? Because that's what's happening here as well.
Yep.
So whether you felt a certain kind of way about Sean Miller and during the investigation, and however you felt about whether he deserved to be fired or not, or whatever you felt about this or that, he's having a ball at Texas. He's taking them to the Sweet 16, maybe even farther. Maybe they get to play Arizona, but yeah, I think he's got to worry about their matchup tonight. And I think Tommy Lloyd's got to worry about their matchup. And if we get to that next stage, then that'll be great. And that will be unfortunate. And only that we won't have a lot of buildup for that, will we? There won't be a lot of time to really build up the Sean Miller versus Arizona thing. You'll have like 24 hours to do that. But yeah, everybody made out okay in the end. So good to hear that he's got no hard feelings. I think Arizona's probably got no hard feelings as well, if you were to ask most of their fans. And let's see if they meet here in a couple of days.
Another great matchup. Purdue, tough as nails. Braden Smith, the guard, all-time leader with assists. Purdue, number 2 seed, and UT playing a hell of a lot better than a first 4 in number 11 seed. And then Illinois tonight. The last part of hearing from a coach or two, they're playing Houston, a number 3 seed against a number 2 seed in Kelvin Sampson. We had Reed Geddes on earlier this week to talk Cougars basketball. Brett Underwood was asked if any issue he finds unfair that they're having to play Houston in the Sweet 16. And here's what his quote was. "I could care less. I'm an old JUCO basketball coach. I drove on 16 passenger vans. I drove from Dodge City, Kansas to Mesa, Arizona for a basketball game. If you had told me back then I'm getting to coach basketball in the Sweet 16 and play Houston, I would sign up for it. I would crawl to get there." Says regardless of where the game is, Illinois will need to play well, obviously, to beat the Cougars.
That's anti-Mick Cronin. Feels like the opposite of what Mick Cronin would have said to that question. I think Brad Underwood's a really entertaining and fun coach. And I know that, like, it's weird. Every coach that we've mentioned, if you go sort their history, there's some blip on the radar where there was some controversy or scale. Like you hang around long enough, you've probably, especially in college basketball and the way that the rules used to be, you probably have found yourself in some water. And I know that Underwood's, his big critique years ago was the intensity maybe being too much. The time at Oklahoma State and just player abuse allegations. Now he all got cleared from all of that. but he's an intense dude, and I really enjoy watching him. I enjoy watching his teams, and I enjoy when he evokes the JUCO side of himself because it's a big part of who he is and how he got there, and it's a great story. And I do think it gives him a much different perspective, a la Willie Fritz, on the football side of things compared to the guys who have kind of been in the big program their entire career, other than when they were a GA maybe for like a season at a lower level school or something. I like that he's no nonsense. I don't care where we're playing. You got to go match up somebody somewhere at some point to get where you want to go. So yeah, screw it. We'll go play anybody, anywhere, anytime kind of mentality. And I think that's the mentality that you have to have. So I think that's a great answer.
He played at K-State, by the way. If you didn't know that, he Hardin-Simmons, Independence Community College, and then Kansas State.
For every time you'd be, and this is what Mick Cronin fails to realize, every time that you yell like, this isn't fair, well, something's coming around your way that will balance it out for the most part. I mean, there's no, like the thing that people, when you hear coaches complain like Mick Cronin did, was like, there's no conspiracy about it. Like, you guys are in this big, massive conference. You're making a bunch of money for it. Travel's got to be travel. Sorry, you're on the crap end of it this year. Brad Underwood knows, like, it's also a terrible thing to do before the game. What's he supposed to say? Like, this is bull crap that we're in Houston. I can't believe that they allowed this to happen. They put Houston in this blah, blah. Like, what good's that going to do him? Because that's basically saying, I'm afraid to play here, which is not a good message to send to your team and your fans. So yeah, come right out and say like, no. And the best coaches, and this is something that fascinates me about scheduling in modern college athletics. We've had it with, the mid-majors here in college basketball, the hand-wringing over football scheduling, and maybe I'm just biased because of the tree I come from, but anybody, anytime, anywhere is going to work out for you because it means that you're going to build your program to play anybody, anytime, anywhere. And when you get in the devils of the details, like, oh, this might be hard, then I think you're selling yourself and your program short. So I like that attitude from Brad Underwood of like, okay, I'll play them in their living room. I don't care. We've got a big game.
Even like, no matter, you can't change it regardless.
No.
Like, you still got to play there.
Yeah.
So like, what's the point in bogging down on it? Like, you can say like, this is bull crap and unfair. Guess where you're still playing tomorrow? You're playing in Houston. So whether you like it or not, that's where your ass is playing and where you're going to have to win to try to advance. And I mean, I like that answer, especially in light of what we've heard from a guy like Mick Cronin, for example, on the other side of the fence. But Brad Underwood's an intense dude. He's a really good basketball coach, and I know he's not without his detractors and his controversy. Oklahoma State fans certainly not huge fans.
Yeah, he was there for 1 year. He did it.
And he bolted.
Yeah, he did.
And so that's totally understandable. But when I've come across clips of his compared to other coaches in particular, I've mostly enjoyed and normally enjoy what I've seen.
I think he's authentic.
I think he's who you see. It's not like he puts on a show. He took Stephen F. Austin to 3 consecutive NCAA tournaments when you had to win the conference tournament, like one of those conferences, Southland Conference, 3 times. And if you'll remember the last year there, they were beating Notre Dame late in the game in like the second round and lost on a tip-in with 1.2 seconds left. This guy's won everywhere he's been. He won at Oklahoma State, then moved on to Illinois. And here's also a picture of him. These are the shoes he was wearing yesterday. Brad Underwood wearing shoes with the flags of the countries his players are from at practice on Wednesday.
So the U.S. and Puerto Rico?
It says, a little fun. Be very appreciative of all the guys have done. A group of guys from all over the world. I don't know if there's any flags that we can't see on the back.
It's hard to say. I mean, the toes are the U.S. and Puerto Rico, but I can't see anything else.
That one left foot on the back side looks like it might be somewhere like in, I don't know.
Well,
you have no idea. You have no idea.
I would love to.
I do. I want you to zoom in on that. I think it's like maybe Sweden or something. You can't close in on that.
How are you with
blue and yellow?
How are you with flags, Smokey?
Not
are you
bad.
pretty good?
Yeah, I'm not
I mean,
bad.
you were well traveled as a youth.
The emoji, yeah. I mean, I actually went out of the country, so that makes me smart when it comes to countries and flags.
The only flags that trip me up sometimes when you have the little emojis are the ones that are like there's too many red, green, and whites. There's far too many red, green,
There's
and
a
whites.
couple that, if you're not careful, look like the United States flag too. There's a couple.
Yeah, there's a couple countries like that.
If you don't look it over, that's not us.
Yeah, I could probably name about 40 of them if I got down into it. Out of 150, I forget what the exact number of countries out in the world is. I could probably get like 40 of them. But yeah, you get a lot of those with what's that cross called? That's Finland and Sweden and Norway all have. Iceland as well. Anyways, it's like Sheldon Cooper on Big Bang Theory. We're doing
Fun with Flags.
Fun with Flags. Welcome to Fun with Flags. I'm your host, Craig Smoak.
But
But that's a cool nod by Brad Underwood to do that. That's very festive.
Some people can't do maps. Some people can't do flags. Some people can do both. Craig's one of those who can do both.
So they have a guy from Montenegro, Puerto Rico, Greece, Indiana, Illinois, Croatia. And let's see who, Michigan, I see that, Kansas, and another from in Serbia. So you got guys from, you got a bunch.
Here's the other thing though. I would wonder if we showed you those flags and asked you without you knowing that list, because so many of them, Serbia, Montenegro used to be one place. Croatia is much different than when you were
Yugoslavia.
younger. Yeah. See, not one anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah. I knew that. All right. When we come back, Mike Scarborough, TigerBait.com covers LSU. Will Wade headed there, and just all of what's going on, plus his thoughts about LSU as they enter spring football. This is 365 Sports. QC Kinetics has helped me get better. Makes me every day when I wake up feel good that I don't have to go, okay, where do I lean today because my right hip is bothering me. After a consultation back in September with the folks up in Dallas at QC Kinetics, locations in in Dallas and Houston. You see the numbers on the bottom of the screen. QC Kinetics using my natural biologics, my blood, my platelets, my stem cells, bone marrow, and then putting it back inside my body after they spin it. Started it in September. I have one treatment left, and I might sometime in the next month or two use it to go straight into my hip. They put a lot of it in my lower back, my waistline, because my back is kind of scratchy and gnarly at the bottom, which can create problems elsewhere in your legs. I'm telling you right now, how many times have you kicked the can down the road by getting steroid injections somewhere? And has it worked maybe for a month or two? Has your doctor started to discuss surgery? Before you go there, contact QC Kinetics. Get the consultation lined up in Houston and Dallas. Let them go over it with you. Natural biologics, using what is inside of you to make you feel better. It's worked for me. Aches and pains are gone. Now, I might bump into maybe a chair one of these days with my shin. QC Kinetics, there are the numbers in Dallas, 972-972-8610, Houston, 713-913-5285 at QCkinetics.com.
It's in the major leagues for 24 years. And let me tell you, I can feel it in my joints. Shoulders, elbows, and knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do. I tried everything to get rid of the pain. Nothing worked until QC Kinetics.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens and other patients are getting lasting relief with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. No surgery.
I trust QC Kinetics. You should too. Let's commit to getting rid of all the pain.
Schedule your free consultation today. QC Kinetics. Better starts here.
With over 25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Hello, I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
Join the celebration. It's 27 years for Richard Car Motors, and we're celebrating with big anniversary savings.
Get a 2023 Roe Buick Enclave for $301 per month, or get a 2022 Chevy Silverado for only $446 per month, or a 2023 Volkswagen Jetta for $236 per month. All pre-owned cars and trucks on the lot are tagged with big anniversary savings.
Thank you, Central Texas, for 27 years. Log on, call, or come by today to find big anniversary savings now.
At Richard Car, we give you more.
Pepperoni Magnifico. Pepperoni Magnifico. Marco's Pepperoni Magnifico. Classic and crispy cut pepperoni, 3 melty cheeses, all on our fresh made dough. And starting at just $12.99 for a large, it's no wonder Marco's was named America's favorite pizza chain.
This 4 o'clock hour is brought to you by Stonewood Dental, your one-stop shop for your dental needs, specializing in teeth cleaning, fillings, crowns, sealants, root canals, IV sedation, extractions, implants, bridges, dentures, full mouth restorations, and bioaesthetic dentistry. Our priority is your comfort from the moment you walk through the front door. Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas. Now it's time for 365 Sports.
365 Sports as we start this 4 o'clock hour. Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina. I'm David Smoak. And Mike Scarborough, TigerBait.com. We love talking to Mike. He's in the know when it comes to LSU, most anything. And it has been a day and another few stories surrounding Go Tigers. And Mike, Will Wade, I guess, is this a 99.9% everyone's thrilled that he's back?
Absolutely. I think the only people that were maybe against Will Wade returning, it's maybe some of Dale Brown's circle of people, but he's absolutely a folk hero in this city. And look, they wanted to bring him back last year before he took the NC State job, but you didn't have the right makeup on the Board of Supervisors, and one by one they put in place everybody to make it to bring Will Wade back. And we were first on the story weeks ago, and I'm having some fun on X with some NC State fans who thought I was creating a bunch of clickbait when I put out a pretty lengthy dissertation on why it was a real possibility that Will Wade would return to LSU. And all hell broke loose this morning, and he's on his way to Baton Rouge.
So, I mean, everybody's happy now, but if you're Matt McMahon, like, they kind of sabotaged him before it started. So that's not a great culture, though, if you're willing to do that. Or do they see that as a justifiable homicide?
Look, there's nothing that would lead you to believe that Matt McMahon could turn this thing around. In fact, I know that the money that he had to spend on NIL was very similar to what Matt McMahon had to spend at NC State. And Will Wade got NC State to the NCAA tournament. Now, I will be fair to Matt McMahon. He has had some really bad luck the last 2 seasons with injuries, and I think that certainly affected him. Had that injury bug not happened, might they have gotten into the tournament? It's hard to know. But when you've got probably an actual attendance hovering around 1,000 for SEC home games, the apathy is unreal. The fact that the local media, when they play in the SEC tournament, none of the local TV stations send a crew to the SEC tournament to cover LSU men's basketball. It's night and day, the coverage that you see for women's basketball versus men's. And I'm old enough. I grew up in Baton Rouge in the heyday of LSU men's basketball under Dale Brown, late 70s, 80s, all the way through Shaq. And since then, you've only had a couple of periods since Dale Brown, the 2006 Final Four team under John Brady, and the years of Will Wade. In between, you've had absolute wastes of time, Trent Johnson, Johnny Jones, and Matt McMahon. And here's the thing. Everybody likes Matt McMahon. Super nice guy. But look, when you're at LSU and you've got a two-time national championship baseball coach, you've got Kim Mulkey and now Lane Kiffin and others, Jay Clark defending national championship gymnastics, all of them sucking all the oxygen out of the room. If you don't have a coach with some charisma that's going to shake the trees and make something happen, then you're going to be lost at LSU. And Will Wade is absolutely that guy. Like I said, he's a folk hero. And frankly, a lot of LSU folks really don't give a damn about any national media who want to call him names and all that. They've gone through that with Lane Kiffin for months. It's child's play at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mike, I mean, based on what I see, LSU fans want to be the villain. They lean into being the villain of college sports with this rogues gallery, if you will, of coaches.
Well, you're right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. What was Dale Brown in the SEC in the 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same type of guy. And so I think that's Will Wade. And look, you can talk about what he was, why he got fired. The reason why Will Wade got fired is because the LSU athletic department had made a deal with the NCAA over the Our Lady of the Lake deal in football. They threw Will Wade as red meat and fired him in order to keep the football program from having more difficulty with what the NCAA was going to hand down.
Mike, LSU fans don't care, I don't think. Craig just brought this up. I
don't think they don't care.
They don't care.
Don't care.
I mean, there's nobody here that's thinks this is a little bit dirty or a little greasy.
Yeah, look, I had someone, and it didn't deter me. I just kind of wrote it off as the right people were trying to throw me off the scent for the last month because they were telling me, look, it's going to happen, but it's not going to happen this year. It's going to happen next. All because, and the thought was that they were going to save Will Wade from leaving NC State after 1 year. It just did not make any sense to me. What's the difference between leaving now or waiting a year? You're going to subject your season ticket holders for men's basketball, where more than 2/3 of them were keeping their tickets in a drawer and they couldn't give them away if they tried. Look, had you kept Matt McMahon, you were basically saying that you were Miami Marlin. You were going to Miami Marlin the situation. You were going to take the SEC revenue because it makes money no matter what, and just put out a bad product. And that's not anything that is really acceptable at LSU. And they got it done. And so Will Wade's going to come in, and we're hearing he's going to have a $15 million NIL budget to spend in the portal, which I don't know where that ends up rating LSU amongst the SEC schools. Some of the dollar amounts that we've heard at Arkansas and elsewhere is certainly a lot more than that. But it's certainly an excellent start, and I think that's why he left NC State. I've done several NC State shows, and several media guys out there are friends of mine. I'm not going to debate the, what's the more storied men's basketball program, North Carolina State or LSU. LSU's Mount Rushmore of basketball players in men's basketball is as good as anybody in the country. I think ESPN did it, 15 years ago in the finals where they did the Mount Rushmore of every college program. The finals was LSU and North Carolina got it. And a lot of people thought LSU should have got it when you include Pete Maravich, Bob Pettit, Shaq, Chris Jackson, etc.
Maravich?
You said that.
Yeah, I had Maravich.
Yeah. Mike, I'm going to – you said something a few minutes ago that brought back memories for me. local media covers women's basketball more than men's basketball.
Yes.
That used to happen here. Then the men's basketball team got really good, and they had to make choices budgetarily. Are you ready to deal with the thunder that's going to come down when you go to Nashville and not to
Don't do it.
another place?
Don't do it.
Are you ready?
You have no idea.
Because it's coming, Mike. It's coming.
Well, here look. Look, there's already some discussions behind the scenes, I assure you. Right
Oh, you are toast.
Well, no, everybody's doing both. Look what I've done today. I've covered the Will Wade stuff all day. I was at football practice this morning. We were at LSU baseball midday, and I'm about to get in my vehicle and go to the airport because I'm told Will Wade's going to be flying in. So I'm doing it all.
Yeah.
And I just uploaded Kara Lawson's NCAA press conference video because that's LSU's opponent tomorrow night. By the way, when we were there at the tournament watch party, we were watching because there was some thoughts that maybe Baylor would get a 7 seed and get sent to Baton Rouge. They were holding their breath over there.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
I damn sure bet. Yep.
Hey, I don't ask this as somebody to quote the kids, pocket watching. I think people are just curious. Is there just unlimited money at LSU? Just given,
No.
and I'm not saying that from like a hateful standpoint. I'm just genuinely curious because there's been such a spree as of late with all of these coaching changes. Is it just there's that amount of support plus the SEC money? Like, how do you sort of break where all this is coming from ultimately?
I think that there is some people that have come out that we don't know their names. And what's surprising is some of the guys that you would name them. You know, a lot of people just think Shaq writes checks. Shaq doesn't write checks. But look, you still have to operate in some parameters. I mean, we saw Christy Curry at Alabama leave for South Florida last night.
Yep.
All right. And she's a damn good women's basketball coach. She left for South Florida because Alabama was last in the SEC in their NIL budget. So when you carve that up, and look, Jay Johnson, who's won 2 out of the last 3 college baseball national championships, he's fighting for every $100,000 he can get. The problem you have at LSU is football, the high, expectations there, and what their percentage of the pie that's taken out from the SEC revenue share. You got women's basketball. Now men's basketball getting elevated even more to the tune of an extra $7 million to spend. Jay Johnson wanting his money. And then you got the other sports. Gymnastics is a defending national champion. You've got so many sports at LSU that are operating at a high level. So, you know what a lot of people are saying? If and when Kim Mulkey retires, what's that budget going to look like for women's basketball? Is that their opportunity then to cut that in half? Is that what happens?
Well, yeah, because
bet,
good as they were here, and they haven't been the same, not even close. They were losing around $5 or $6 million a year, winning national championships in almost every year, winning not only the regular season but conference tournament, playing on national television games, and yet they were losing a ton of money. But it was all until it got to the point where it was a divorce coming. You just had to deal with it if you were an AD, and eventually you got worn out.
I wish that they would, do Kim Mulkey a solid in that regard, because she loses between $7 and $9 million at LSU.
Yep.
But that math, that's what you see on that end. You don't see the money that she gets people to write that are written to the Tigers Athletic Foundation, because that's a whatever organization. She is a prolific fundraiser. So she brings in a lot of money that does not show up in that public money statement.
Yeah,
and to say nothing of the fact of the draw that she brings to, and that's the other thing. The problem with women's basketball, and look, LSU, when they play on TV, they draw a pretty good number. The problem is most of the SEC doesn't. Missouri playing Arkansas in women's basketball is not going to draw a number. But there's a reason why they had LSU versus South Carolina on a Saturday when they never play on Saturday, and it was an ABC primetime game on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always thought of whenever I heard people bring up the women's basketball is like, yeah, but there's the trade-off of her selling out arenas everywhere and the free advertising for this successful program and all of how much by proxy did Angel Reese's attention bring to the program or Flo J. Johnson or whoever that's also paying off some of that money as well.
And I don't know if you can do that for women's basketball. I don't know that works. I mean, everybody in the SEC points to the enrollment at the University of Alabama when Nick Saban took over and what their total enrollment was at the end. And they were crediting so much of that is because of Alabama football and the reach that it had and it drawing students from all over the United States with very high SAT scores and everything else. And the same thing can be they're seeing at LSU right now because of the sports being the front porch of your university. I don't know if that counts in women's basketball. And then look, I got a buddy of mine who's 6 rows up directly across from the women's bench at women's basketball games. And he's got 2 tickets, 6 rows up. And I think it's like $550 he spends a year. And so when you say, well, man, why are they charging so little? I know there's a private school, a couple of private schools that charge more for season tickets for football than that, high school. And so actually they're in line. I think them and South Carolina have the 2 highest. And at that point, they're still giving away. Even if you raise ticket prices to $15 to $20 a pop, I think it came out to about $11 or $12 his season tickets. Even if you doubled it, the women's basketball would still lose money.
Yeah. So, and believe me.
And then when she retires, the likelihood of you ever hiring a coach like that again, what are you going to do? Lower prices?
Yeah.
So
she's one-on-one.
You keep it the same.
Yeah, no, you're right. And Baylor went a direction. Nikki has not had much success. He's had some success, but there's been a big difference.
She hasn't matched the success.
No, they're good. They're a top 25 team,
yeah,
but not many wow moments.
Well, look, you guys are hitting on it. The coach at Texas Tech, what's her name? She was in Baton Rouge this last week.
Gerlich?
Yeah, she's fantastic. She mapped it all out Sunday in her post game after losing LSU. When you really look at it, even a team that's say ranked 15th in the country, there is a huge gap between them and UConn and South Carolina. And then maybe that next tier behind those two would be LSU, UCLA, Texas, right? There's a big gap between those 5 teams and anybody else in the back end of the top 10 even. LSU beat Alabama in Oklahoma, another great team, beat those teams by 40 and 50 points this past season. Those are top 20 teams.
Yep. There's 5 or 6 teams that have a chance. There's been a couple of Louisville one year and Mississippi State with, in fact, it was Vic Schaefer that made a nice run, but they couldn't get to the end.
So, Mike, you are, for a guy that creates content, you're at ground zero for the most interesting storylines. You already were. And then today just adds on even further to that over multiple sports.
Look, you guys know it. whether you agree with the hires or not, drama is great from where I'm sitting.
Sure.
Okay. And it's and I said it on my show last night, LSU Tigers on Tiger Bait, by the way. When you show me a masthead that's more intriguing than LSU's.
Oh, there's not.
Lane Kiffin, Kim Mulkey, Jay Johnson in baseball, now Will Wade, all guys who are great at the press conference. And then you got Jay Clark in gymnastics who sells out the PMAC. Gymnastics sells out in Baton Rouge. So
why are there a bunch of Olivia Dunns on that in that roster?
That doesn't hurt.
Yeah, she's not there anymore, but she'll be on Baywatch. Be on the lookout, the new Baywatch.
Yeah, she actually is. She is on the new series Baywatch. And I pointed this out a year ago, but I think it's only become more true of just LSU is also NILU, in my opinion. You go from Jaden Daniels, Olivia Dunn, Angel Reese, Flo J. Johnson. I mean, Joe Burrow, even going back to then, even though that was a little bit like in the early days or hadn't even started really ramping up just yet, but they've been on top of the ball, man. They know how to make headlines. That's for damn sure, and on and off the field.
And that's part of the deal. When I was talking to an NC State source about this whole Will Wade thing, and we started working it really hard about a month ago, and he was telling me, look, because look, when you start talking about it, North Carolina State fans are saying, why would he go to LSU? That's not a basketball school like North Carolina State and the ACC. And there's an argument to be had there. But when I talk to an NC State guy and they're saying, look, man, ACC coaches are running to NIL problems that they cannot compete with the SEC. And he started rattling off some key high-profile recruits in the last cycle that were committed to ACC schools and then had incredible senior years, and then at the end switched to the SEC and elsewhere because bigger NIL deals came about. And so that ESPN ABC contract with the SEC and the branding power of LSU, all that stuff last year with the governor and everybody absolutely it looking like a midday soap opera in Louisiana, which we seem to have a lot of that in my lifetime. That didn't have any effect on any of it. The brand is strong. And so you mentioned all those athletes that are a big draw, and you got Skeens out there and
Skeens. Yep.
Yeah. But the women, and I tell some guys that are out there in business saying, hey man, I'm looking to, spend some money on an LSU athlete. And they only want to look at the guys, when in reality, it's the female athletes that are the bigger draw. Jaden Daniels didn't earn anything compared to Flaugier and Angel Reese and Livy Dunn, et cetera.
It's a good time, man. I know you're taking advantage of it. Here's another thing. Just wait a little bit. You got spring football, and then maybe both teams or the women go deep. I think they'll be Final Four. Depends on, I think, I don't know who's going to meet Elite Eight.
Duke tomorrow night, and then that's UCLA on Sunday if they can get there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Really good. They'll beat Duke, but UCLA is really good. And then, of course, you turn right around. Here comes football season. Hey, Mike, thank you. It's always great to have you on the show. Really great to see you.
Love you guys. Anytime y'all need me, I'm here for you.
Yep. Good setup for Mike Scarborough, tigerbait.com on what LSU today hiring Will Wade coming back to be their men's basketball coach.
By the way, I'm very curious once we get into the season about Lane Kiffin, where he doesn't have to pretend not to be an a-hole anymore. Like he's been given carte blanche to just be himself completely. Like at Ole Miss, he still had to pretend a little. Now he can just be Lane.
I haven't taken in anything really other than a passing tweet here and there. Is he kind of?
No, but like when the season gets going, like I do think that
full on red ass
because he had to rebuild his image a little bit. He had to go to the Saban rehab program. And when you come out of that, you've got to maybe dial back the lane a little bit. But now, I mean, the whole state of Louisiana is behind you, however you want to act.
Right.
When it comes to it. So he can just be full lane.
Well, and that's very dangerous if he does do that. I think there's already, some speculation around him and how much fun he's having, which just comes with the territory. But look, man, as big of a personality as he is, he better not blow this opportunity. It's not getting any bigger than this.
No.
You screw this up, you are still going to be getting head coaching jobs elsewhere because you are a good head coach, and it's college sports. So somebody somewhere, I mean, hell, if teams were hiring Dave Bliss back in the day still after what he went through, then Lane Kiffin would have to do something really messed up to not get a coaching job, no matter how bad he would screw up the LSU situation. But if he screws up the LSU situation, then he is who we thought he was, which is a complete dumbass, because this is as good as it's going to get in his career, this whole setup and the timing of it, where LSU is so flush with investments and secret donors and whatever is helping them. I know people point out like oil and gas, and it's a good time in the industry. I don't think you look all that deep into it, though, because just because of like right this time period, like oil and gas is going up, doesn't mean you have unlimited money to spend on NIL forever and ever. So be careful of the business advice you see on Twitter, for example. But for right now, they've got the money to play with, and they are not playing around with it. They are being very intentional and saying, we don't care what you think about it. We're going to go get the best coaches for us, and we're going to go win and win huge. And they've been doing that, and they're going in more than ever right now.
They really are. Here's a couple of things, and I know we got a break from Boo Corrigan, the NC State AD. He said that they offered Wade to knock his buyout down to $4 million. He said that he was aware of Wade's likely resignation Wednesday morning. Also said Wade did not show up for a meeting earlier in the week. Today's going to be the end of Coach Wade. We're going to find a new coach. Here's one. He was asked about whether his resignation was in person. He sent his email. He sent his resignation in an email. Has not seen him handshake, goodbye, whatever. I'm a handshake guy. I'd rather shake someone's hand and say, hey, are we good? Are you staying? Are we good? It just never happened. In fact, the email apparently may have come from Will Wade's agent.
Well, Will Wade's a snake. I mean, he's going to slither wherever he needs to slither, and I don't think he was all that probably worried about doing things the right way on the way out. I think he was like, how do I get to Baton Rouge, and how quickly can I get there? I mean, a tiger doesn't change his stripes, and as much as Will Wade's maybe living in a different era where his past sins aren't as grievous as they were at that time, I still think the guy has shown his colors a few different times over the years. And so I'm sure somewhere if some LSU fan wanted to take that as being a hater, I guess they could. It's not being a hater. It's just calling a spot or calling that carpet gray when the carpet's gray. Will Wade is a slimy dude, and he's shown it multiple occasions. And so I'm not surprised if he didn't handle it the most professional and classy way on the way out. I mean, this is a guy who, this is not just a 1-year thing. And well, where's he going now? He made it sound like he was in it for the long haul, as all coaches do. I just don't know why anybody, whether it's Will Wade or Nick Saban or whoever, Nick Saban wasn't taking the Alabama job until guess what? He was taking the Alabama job. Like, I don't believe a damn thing any coach says. I don't care if it's whoever you hold in the highest esteem, Coach K or Scott Drew or Jay Johnson or Kim Mulkey or whoever. Coaches are going to say what they got to do to get what they want ultimately. And so Will Wade appeased NC State long enough to go get what he wanted, which is a return to LSU.
Debbie Yao, who's a famous Hall of Fame coach at NC State, she's no longer there. She put up on her Twitter feed Al Wilson and the Snake lyrics. And everyone from the top rope. With Debbie Yao, the former NC State women's basketball coach. All right.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's not going to, like, he doesn't care what happens on the way out.
No, he doesn't care.
There's a picture of him in an Escalade. Someone driving him.
Another fan base hates me? Oh, well, let me dry my tears with these bills that I am collecting along the way. Will Wade doesn't give a damn.
And look, he could have said, like, this feels very much like the Jim Schlossnagle and A&M thing. Like, you could have just said, you could have come out and told the truth. This is where I've always wanted to work. I'm working with my best friend, and that's why I'm doing it. And with Will Wade, it's like, look, I didn't think that my firing at LSU was justified. I always wanted to be back there. The rules are different now. It's my dream job. It's where I want to be. They want me there. I appreciate the time at NC State, but this was the one that was going to get me. Whether that's true or not, look, if North Carolina called him and LSU didn't, I'm sure he would have probably gone to that one just down the road. But those are the things that maybe make it easier. But then again, you're kind of just placating people who don't even personally know you and you're never going to see again.
All right, Garrett, I got a question for you. It's up to you. We got Off the Radar around the corner. I don't want to start that late because we do that, but we've been hitting that thing a lot more on time. No guest at 5. We've got a topic to get to. You want to do a short thing here with the 3 football stories, or what do you want to do? Yep. Okay. This is a local story and a national story, and we've seen Lathan Wissington, what will be a senior running back, who will be a senior running back at Midway High School. This kid is amazing. I've seen some great ones, and he's in that list or in that group. He committed yesterday to Notre Dame. And pictures of him with Marcus Freeman, among others. This might be about as unselfish of a player as I've ever seen, and he is beloved at that campus at Midway High School, and he has committed to play for the Irish.
He's a tremendous player and talent, and I think Notre Dame got themselves a great running back. He's going to excel there, and I don't know. I'm hesitant to just project guys as being automatic successes because they were good in high school, because now I've just seen too many greats that end up being average to below average at the college level. But I have, if I had to put my money down on if he excels and is a tremendous success and falls in line behind the likes of a Jeremiah Love as the next great Notre Dame running backs, I would definitely put my money more on that side than he just kind of goes there and we forget about him and he disappears sort of a career. I think he'll be great, whether it's at Notre Dame for an entire 4 or 5 years or wherever his path takes him. I think he will be successful. Every school in the country wanted him, every school. I would be curious to know if there was like maybe a somebody somewhere out there that's a high-level team that didn't offer him, but based on his Twitter feed and his recruiting profile pages over the last year and a half, everybody's offered this young man. Everybody's been going by Midway High School to talk with and learn more about Lathan Wissington. So didn't know that he was closing in on a decision, but congratulations to him to commit to Notre Dame. That's a massive deal for any aspiring college football player. So not sure how much he watched Rudy growing up or what all drew him there. Just maybe it was Marcus Freeman's vibes and just the way he runs his program. But regardless, I think the Irish got a good one, and I think Lathan Wissington made an excellent choice. And not often that you see a guy from Central Texas necessarily make his way up to Notre Dame. We did see it with Durham Smythe of Belton a few years ago. I don't know how many guys, if any, have done so really since then. But Notre Dame does dip into Texas on occasion, and this is a time where I think they got a really great player.
Well, Jaden Greathouse is
Jaden Greathouse,
there, So I think when you look at the position of running back, in many people's opinions, the top 2 running backs in this year's draft are Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. Well, they both played the same.
Jadarian Price also from Texas.
Right?
Yeah. So if anybody came to me and said, hey, from all your years of watching recruiting, what would your advice be to my kid as they go and pick their school? I would say the first one is the place that makes them feel the most happy. Like you have to be at the place more than you have to be at the football facility, even though it's not. You've got to be happy and you've got to be able to achieve goals that are beyond football. But for your football goals, it has to be a place that aligns the best with what your football goals are. So if I'm Lathan Wissington and my goal is to be the best possible running back I can be, that narrows down my search a lot from a lot of the schools, like even some really great schools that have offered him because of the way they might use the running back position. So Notre Dame is probably going to make it through every kind of purge if you're a running back, because their running backs under Marcus Freeman are wildly successful and get a lot of attention. So to maximize that, I think is very important. And I think that when it comes down to it, you get to those schools of, okay, these are the 5 schools I can be the happiest at. These are the schools that are also the ones that align with who can make me the best player, where I have the potential to make the most impact. And I would say as a running back right now, there's very few places that match up with Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame.
Yeah, no, he's a banger. He's gotten better. I was wondering a little bit when he was a freshman, he kind of almost was top heavy, just phenomenal, and can outrun people too. Fantastic pickup for Notre Dame with Lathan Wissington, senior next year at Midway High School. And then also this one, Morgan Scalley, Utah, of course, new head coach. Kyle Whittingham is now at Michigan. He was asked after practice about whether or not he knew that Whittingham wanted to come back. And Scalley handled this very, very well. He said, I have a great relationship with Kyle Whittingham, and honestly, I love him. I wish him and the program nothing but success, but my focus is on our program. There has been a lot of focus on, and I understand the why. The man, do we have an incredible team right here, an amazing opportunity? I need to devote all of my time and energy to these guys. And so he was asked about the story that came out about Whittingham wanted to stay, and then eventually it did not work out. Scalley earned this opportunity. I hope it's pretty much, maybe you have to answer it a little bit more, but good way for him to just say, we're ready on what we're doing here.
Well, if you're hoping for a salacious answer there out of a first-year head coach, you probably weren't going to get one anyway.
Utah coach torches Kyle Whittingham.
No, yeah. You weren't going to get that. So, yeah, that's the best thing he could have said. And again, he's got to move on from it anyway. And it also keeps him from commenting on, his boss's correspondence coming out, which I'm sure if I'm the coaches there and every time Mark Harlan has a controversial email, they're like, please not today, because I just don't want to deal with it. That's him. That's not me. I just got to put my head down and keep doing what I do. And not that they don't like him, but it does. It can wear on you a little bit. So as quickly as he can move past that, I'm sure that's what he wants to do.
It feels like the people of Utah are trying to keep this as much of a thing as anybody else at this point. I don't know if the rest of the country is still really paying much attention. Last week, certainly, it was one of the more interesting stories that was out there. Michigan fan crossover, of course, as well, and that's a massive fan base. So they are intrigued by what Scally was going to possibly say or did say. Beyond that, I look at this outside of the fact that Mark Harlan's still a Utah AD. Like, everybody's winning. Utah got what it wanted. This is what they've been wanting for years now. I mean, every offseason. Kyle, you retiring? You sure you're not? You sure you don't want to? You know what sounds great right now? You're kind of getting older. Will be retirement. They wanted Morgan Scally to be the coach. They were waiting, and it looked like they reached a point where you ultimately had to make the move happen, because if you left it up to Kyle Whittingham, he was probably going to coach another 10 years at Utah. He's clearly not done coaching.
Hell,
obviously,
they were 10-2 last year.
They were still very good. And that's the thing, is you better hope Morgan Scally is who you thought he was. And I think that he will be ultimately, but the bar is set so damn high. And then again, Utah's been one of the best in the country as far as replacing head coaches that have been successful. They've been able to follow up one good coach after another for the most part in football. That's kept them a pretty steady eddy of success for a good long while now. So I don't think that there's no chance that Morgan Scally doesn't just take that torch and run with it the same way that Kyle Whittingham did and others before him. But yeah, I mean, they made it very clear that they want, like, it was obvious to the point where Kyle Whittingham was clearly having to answer questions about retirement constantly, and you can see how that would wear on a guy. So I think he's in a better place. He's at Michigan. He's got a fresh start. He's got more at his disposal than he's ever had before, and more history at his back than he could ever have imagined. Morgan Scally's taken over the program he's always loved, bled, sweat, cried for, and can live out his dream job. And Mark Harlan's still there, and that's kind of annoying for some people, including Utah fans. But beyond that, like, life's great. Like, and I know BYU, there's always the crossover. I think they probably fueled that fire last week as much as anybody. And they would love to see a mess, because I think they're wondering, like, I hope Morgan Scally's not as good as Kyle Whittingham, but damn it, if he is, then this is Satake and this Scally thing could be a lot of fun.
Look, do you know how fortunate a program like Utah is to go from Urban Meyer, who then went on to be one of the more successful coaches, to, look, Kyle Whittingham didn't win a national title, but he won a lot. And they went through conferences and they went through all these things to have that guy from the time that Urban Meyer left until a couple of months ago. That just is very rare. And, you know, they made the decision they made, you know, to move to Morgan Scally. They did it. They're ready to move on and go forward with it. And it worked out for Urban Meyer, worked out for Kyle Whittingham. Now it's going to work out for Morgan Scally, and it's going to work out for Kyle Whittingham again, because he's at Michigan, and they won a national championship 2 years ago and essentially burned the house down. So now he's got a big wave behind him to try to get this thing right again.
I don't know if there was another spot that Whittingham could end up that was not more perfect than being where he is at Michigan. By the way, one more. When I saw this initially about TJ Finley, the quarterback who's been everywhere, I saw this pop up at Georgia State quarterback, and I went, my God, is he transferring again? No, he's actually declared for the NFL draft. He has been everywhere. I don't even know how to remind myself of all the different schools. Auburn was where I think he started, and he is entering and declaring to play. Not sure what's going to happen as far as we got all the tools. But it's an every year. When you look at size, arm strength, all that, there's something else missing, but he always is on the move. Sometimes it's his own fault. He's on the move.
He'll be in a rookie mini camp, and after that, I don't know. I don't think he's going to get drafted. I don't think he's going to get signed after the draft. I think he will get an opportunity to go. And for those of you who don't know, the NFL in those rookie mini camps will bring in guys for tryouts during those things. A lot of times because they need quarterbacks to throw.
Yeah, because they don't want their one or two guys.
Yeah. Their other guys aren't. So I think he'll get an opportunity to do that, because everybody's going to want to take a look. But I do think that 7 colleges in an hour and a half, it feels like might be a little bit much for most to bear.
I think he is a poster child for what's wrong with eligibility rules and how nonsensical they can be. And I understand he had some injuries and things like that, but I mean, Chandler, he set the path for Chandler Morris to follow of how many years and how many schools can you possibly play for in this amount of time. He did not start off at Auburn. He started at LSU.
Okay.
So he was at LSU. He was at Auburn. He was at Texas State. He was at Western Kentucky. He was at Georgia State for a little bit last year. And then Incarnate Word. And I don't know if we're missing a spot where he was temporarily in between then. But, yeah, he's been playing since COVID. It's damn near 2027. I mean, we're almost at the halfway point already of 2026. We're a third of the or a quarter of the way through now at this point. Look, I don't know what led to. I mean, you got to remember too this whole car issue of the truck and whatever was going on there that led to him being in the headlines not that long ago. Like I don't know. I don't. Here's what I do know. I would be fascinated to sit in to one of the meetings that he has with NFL scouts who then ask him, so explain to me your path. Tell me all about how you went from one school to the second school to the third school to the fourth school to the fifth school to the sixth school. And are we missing any schools all over the course of 6 years?
Okay.
Because that to me would be red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. As talented as he may be, it did not show in the capsule of his college football career. So athletically, I'm sure there's somebody that will be curious, but beyond that, like, what are you looking at?
Define or explain loyalty to you.
Well, it's not even just, let's take loyalty out of it. If you can't win and keep the job at one play, like, take loyalty out of it.
Or two or three.
Yeah. If I am an NFL general manager and I'm looking for somebody who can win a starting quarterback job one day, or hold on to a job, or make the roster, for God's sakes. Like, this is not, the NFL wants quarterbacks too, but not that bad. There's only 32 teams. You don't need as many. So there's more opportunities in college, clearly. But if I'm a GM and a coach and I say, okay, I want a guy who can make my roster, what roster has he made for more than a year?
He's been in the transfer portal 6 times. 6 trips to the transfer portal.
So in free agency terms and NFL terms, that means he makes a team and gets cut every time.
Every time.
He can't make a team. And this is not a guy where you can have a guard, you can have 7 guards on your roster. You're going to have 2 to 3 quarterbacks on your roster.
Yeah.
Like, it's,
that's
different.
An NFL scout told me on Sunday or Saturday that teams don't keep 3 anymore.
Yeah.
They might have one on the practice squad and they can go find somebody else, but they just don't do it. And the practice squad rules have changed quite a bit too. We got a break for your off the radar. Right?
I mean, I read the article last offseason, or I guess it was the beginning of last football season, about how he was still playing in college ball because he wanted to feed his family. I can respect that. I appreciate that, a man taking care of his household. But yeah, like, he is a prime example of how out of whack some of this is. I'm going to wait and see on what happens with Chandler Morris. If he gets that waiver, then you guys just wait. Because if all of a sudden you can just cite mental health as the reason as to why you need to get another year of college, then, man, you think the floodgates opened up previously. If Chandler Morris gets that waiver because of primarily mental health reasons, then that's going to be used and abused in so many different ways by so many different schools, I would imagine, or players and lawyers trying to get that extra year of eligibility. That's not been the case with TJ Finley that I've seen him cite. It's just been injuries and I don't know how he still got eligibility. I don't know how he was possibly on another school, but I don't hate the young man. I don't know enough about him other than it's just been a wild ass ride that is now over. And so good luck to him and whatever is to come. But college football, I think, was ready to move on.
I swear to God, when I saw his name, I said, now he's transferred in the middle of the spring football practices. Okay, when we come back off the radar, we have the big finish at the end with the top 5 and quizzes, poll results, the wheel, and more. This is 365 Sports.
Petty Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide. Affordable, highly effective. Google search Petty Clinic Waco and reach out to the Petty Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
When you play hard, sometimes you fall hard. Sports injuries require special treatment. At Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, our team of expert doctors provides athletes and active adults with comprehensive sports medicine care, diagnostics. Whether you're in high school, college, or beyond, we'll help you get back on the field. Call on the team physicians for Baylor Athletics. Call Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics.
I pitched in the major leagues for 24 years, and let me tell you, I can feel it in my joints. Shoulders, elbows, and knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do. I tried everything to get rid of the pain. Nothing worked until QC Kinetics.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens and other patients are getting lasting relief with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. No surgery.
I trust QC Kinetics. You should too. Let's commit to getting rid of all the pain.
Schedule your free consultation today. QC Kinetics. Better starts here.
From the TFNB Your Bank for Life studio, this is 365 Sports. Presented by IdealMRI.com. Premium quality MRIs, convenient, affordable. That's ideal. And by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, your insurance provider built by Texans for Texans. And we've been protecting families in our great state since 1952. TFNB, your bank for life, serving Central Texans since 1889. Now it's time for 365 Sports. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar.
And okay, thank you very much. Welcome into Off the Radar, and a little bit of time to talk about some stories outside of our normal purview here for a few minutes. And we've been talking a lot of college basketball and a lot of college football, but there are a few other things going on today that we will talk about, although not as loaded as I feel like the last couple of weeks have typically been with stories when you had the Olympics and World Baseball Classic and all these other things going on. But now Major League Baseball has started up, and I'm not going to probably spend a ton of time on baseball during these segments, especially throughout the regular season. But it was of note today that, well, it's opening day across MLB. And last night, Netflix, with their first big broadcast, their launch for MLB as they continue to try and conquer the world. They had a broadcast last night. I can tell you that I actually tried to watch a bit of it. And I say tried because, well, there's a lot of buffering on my end. Now that could have been my internet, but I looked around and it appears that others were experiencing something similar. Not sure if that was that way across the board. I think I'd probably have seen more reporting if it was that bad, but at least on my end, the downside to having streaming MLB is the streaming can sometimes act up, even though that doesn't happen quite as often. By any chance, did you guys watch the broadcast? It was a very boring game. The Yankees blew out the Giants. The Giants with Tony Vitello in his debut, they get blanked. The Yankees pretty much dominated, despite the fact Aaron Judge didn't do anything substantial, and really was just kind of the butt of jokes for Kane over and over again.
If you love Trent Grisham, yesterday was the day for you. I didn't see any of the broadcast by the time I got settled at home. It was already a lot Yankees to nothing Giants.
Yeah.
And that's not usually a game that Red Sox fan Paul is going to turn on, So
I watched 5 minutes of it. One of the things I saw an article from Andrew Marchand, he blasted it.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that didn't like it.
He said that Netflix's opening night, fans wanted to watch the show, and they got all the broadcasting. They didn't get much the game, but they wanted more of just baseball. Fans can be a little bit different. They don't. He doesn't feel like there was enough about the game and during the game.
Well, as somebody who has taken in a few Netflix sports broadcasts at this point, it was very much a Netflix sports broadcast. What does that mean? A bunch of influencers getting their cameos to try to make the young people care, or just the people that are into those types of folks, I guess, care more. And I get that that's a method to try to draw new eyeballs or whatever, but I think it just really is not what I'm tuning in for. I don't care to see the random TikTok star. I just want to see the first pitch. And for example, they had the very first instance in MLB history of a real deal in a regular season game, the whole challenge system.
ABS, yeah.
The ABS system. They got the first instance of that, and Jose Caballero was the first to use the challenge. The first strike was upheld upon review, but if you were watching the broadcast, it was drowned out by all the other crap they were doing. It's like Netflix cares more about like the goings on and the booth and the chatter than they do about the actual game. And I think that's become evident with like everything they've done. It's like watching the NFL on Christmas Day. It's like, oh,
is
cool,
it like
the Chiefs are playing.
Nickelodeon?
No,
Nickelodeon's Nickelodeon. Like I expect them to be that kind of way. They're gearing towards a younger and very much a kid's audience. They're doing animated cartoons for God's sake. So like I don't expect that to be super serious, but this is Netflix trying to be in the same vein as ESPN and Amazon and ABC and all these other, and they just seem to be, whether it's the boxing matchups or it's the NFL on Christmas Day, they just think everybody cares about all the other stuff more than they care about the actual game. That's my thoughts on Netflix broadcast.
And I remember, I think about like the people they bring in. Like I remember they brought in Rosie Perez on that Mike Tyson fight. And I had no idea. I was more fascinated with that because I had no idea she knew so much about boxing, but which was, I mean, they could put her on regular broadcast. She was that knowledgeable, but it's all those things. Everything feels still like this is Netflix first day at sports broadcasting.
Yeah.
And they have that tech bro, like guy who walks in flip flops and shorts. It's like, I'm a disruptor, bro. We're going to change things up. We're going to disrupt. And okay, you can innovate. You can do different things. You can do cool, fun things. Nobody's stopping you. But sports broadcasting has a really simple A to Z that you have to hit before you start moving on to other things.
Yeah.
And that's where I think Netflix is missing the boat, is that the crux of the broadcast is the game. Everything else around it, people turn on and turn off as wanted, but the time that you have them is from the time the first pitch happens to the time the last strike or the last out is made. So that's the time that you're going to have them the most. You're not going to have them the most in the pre and the post game. You're not going to have them the most. So make sure you accentuate the game, and anything that accentuates the game is good if it's different and innovative, but anything that takes away from that game is going to hurt your broadcast overall.
So they had some cameos, and I know he's very popular, and I don't dislike him. I just don't seek out his stuff. But I know that Paul's a fan and like Garrett's a fan, and I find some of his stuff funny. But like, dude, every Netflix broadcast does not need Bert effing Kreischer taking his shirt off and being Bert Kreischer. Like, we don't need it for everything. Like,
no. I agree with you.
And
I
so
agree.
Bert Kreischer is one of the cameos left. Well, imagine that, because that's what always is the cameo is Bert Kreischer or whatever. Like, that's the other thing, is they're always promoting within. So I'm sure he's got a stand-up special that
Well,
they want to
show.
promote.
It's
His
bad,
show.
yeah.
So you see, that's how much I don't even care. But so he's got to do his thing, and then we got to have the other person over here to promote the other thing that's coming up. And I get why you do that, but yeah. So the trivia question is, who was the first to challenge and use the ABS system in a Major League Baseball game? The answer is Jose Caballero. Now, there may be a point where people think that let's get really into this, but who was actually taking most of the camera time during the ABS challenge, the first ever in MLB history? It was Tony Vitello, because they were conducting an in-game interview with him, and that got more of the focus than the Jose Caballero first ever in history ABS challenge. So a lot of people were pissed about that, because if you go back and you watch it in the vaults now, I'm sure they've got other cameras that can give you a new angle, but the actual broadcast was paying very little attention to what was actually happening. But that wasn't the only complaint. I had buffering issues. Again, that may have just been my place. The cameos is just very Netflixy and a lack of a focus on the game. So I feel like it was very much a thumbs in the middle at best, and more of a thumbs down to the first MLB big opening day kickoff. And the game itself wasn't entertaining because it was a blowout, ultimately, with the Yankees winning big. So yeah, that was last night.
How was Barry Bonds?
Again, because of buffering issues, I didn't get to really sink in and just really enjoy much of it. And when I did flip back, it was Per Kreischer, or it was it was like the 8th inning and nothing was happening. Yeah. So I didn't get to hear a lot of Barry.
I know that they do this, like the Super Bowls, or it seems like we have where you can't do a game by just the players, the athletes, the coaches, and fans.
I will take a step further. There is nothing I hate more, and this goes back to the first. We do not need a coach talking in game. We don't need a
coach. Doesn't want to. They don't want to
do it. But ESPN and the other networks, I don't know who's most, but they're doing it all. It's like it's between the first and second quarter. Yeah. Hey, coach, what's like? Who the hell cares, man? They sure as hell don't.
Well, the thing is, during the game, right before the game, it's part of them paying the money they're paying.
But they are. But it's unnecessary, because 1 out of 100 games. I'll just use college football as an example. Holly Rowe, 1 out of 100 times, no matter how good of a question she's going to ask, is going to get something that you'll be like, oh, I didn't know that yet.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, I mean, and she's like, that's why I picked her, because she's the best at what she does. But that part of her job is pointless, because most of the time what they're going to do is they're going to go up there, they're going to say alignment, assignment, tackle, catch, don't commit penalties. This is a really tough team we're playing, team slogan, and run off. Like, that's what they're going to do. So you have 60 seconds to ask them a question. What's the point? You're not getting inside info. Now, on the rare occasion you have a guy who's a legit game time decision and not one of these BS, I say he's a game time decision, so the other coach has to watch a little more film on him this week, even though everybody in the world knows he's not going to play. But if you have somebody out there and you say, Coach, is your quarterback going to play today? He's like, look, he gave it a go and he's not going to go because of this. And you're like, okay, well, that was useful information. Everything else is a waste of everyone's time. The coach, the sideline reporter, the network, and especially the viewer.
Here's from Firefighter. Netflix is broadcasting in the 1990s WWE version.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much not. It's very much sports entertainment. That's I mean, you've helped me unintentionally, I think, bridge the gap to calling that what it is. It's, instead of it being focused on the sports, it's on the sports entertainment side. So it's very WWE in that way. But yeah, I mean, they kind of botched, or didn't kind of, they botched that first ABS challenge. Is it the biggest deal in the world? No. But yeah, they just seem to be more focused on the entertainment as opposed to the actual sport. And I think that's something to monitor moving forward. And so, yeah, I didn't get to hear a ton of the Barry Bonds stuff. I know he had the Steinbrenner anecdote that he talked about, where I did see this and caught part of it. But he said that he was going to sign with the Yankees at one point, but that George Steinbrenner had demanded a deadline that was quick. And so the deal ended up falling through. But he was sharing stuff like that. He talked about how good of a teammate he was, and that, like, even though he didn't hang out with guys off the field, like on the field, he was the best teammate you could have ever asked for. And so if you're Barry Bonds guy, I find him very polarizing, kind of like a Brett Favre or people like that, who I do think it's very much you either like them or you don't. And so for me, I I do find myself kind of in the middle with Barry Bonds. Like on the one hand, I do think he's a jerk. And on the other hand, I think he's one of the greatest baseball players ever. And I also think he was a cheat, but I also think a bunch of dudes were cheating then. And I do think he's a Hall of Famer, but I'm torn on him in a lot of ways.
I had no opinion about Brett Favre one way or the other than
now.
He was a really good football player. And then with all this, scamming the state of Mississippi stuff, I've
Allegedly,
lost. I've lost, any respect I have for the man. With Barry Bonds, I feel the same way. It's the worst thing he did was cantankerous and took steroids. Like, all right, that's not great. I don't have to like him, but I don't have to hate him.
How are you comparing Favre to Bonds? What was that? Is that a comparison?
My comparison is it's the same. Like he brought up Brett Favre.
Oh, okay.
My thing on Brett Favre is, I was apoplectic about him. Like, I'm a Cowboys fan, so I always hated Brett Favre when he was playing because he beat the Cow. He was tough. He kind of ended their dynasty really, but I respected him as a football player, but as a person, when it comes to the Jen Sturger thing and the Mississippi thing, I just don't have any respect for the guy because I don't think he's a good guy. He's done a lot of really bad stuff that is not. I
don't think he's a good person.
He's not a good person.
No.
I don't know if Barry Bonds is a good person or not. I just know he was cantankerous and he was using steroids when everybody else was using steroids. I will probably never meet Barry Bonds, so I don't have to worry about it. But it's different than Brett Favre, who's committed actual crimes. It's different.
Yeah, I compare those more or less as they're polarizing figures, and you either kind of like them or you don't.
But it is like if we find out Barry Bonds has been, scamming the government too, then fine. So.
I think that would be another chapter or layer that we would then review. I think the point I was making is just that, they're polarizing guys. You either kind of like them or you don't. So Barry Bonds had a lot of people that I'm sure didn't like that broadcast, and others that probably found it pretty interesting. But the Netflix MLB debut was it was okay. It was okay at best. They got a lot of work to do to make it more entertaining, and the game itself wasn't very entertaining, so that didn't help matters at all. Meanwhile, like I said, not a ton going on, but I did want to follow back up on the NBA expansion as Adam Silver talked with the media and did so after a meeting with the Board of Governors. And while there is nothing official, they are continuing to talk about the fact that Seattle and Las Vegas could be in the workings for expansion. He said there's absolutely a chance expansion may not happen. It's also possible we could expand to one market, maybe two, or no markets. There's been a lot of talk about the price tag for forming one of these franchises in the $7 to $10 billion range would be what it's going for. But yeah, Kevin Durant has been out there talking up about how great it is to possibly have a team coming back to Seattle. And I've started to wonder, man, given the way his career is going, I think he's going to end up retiring in Seattle when all is said and done. I'm starting to think that's how his career ends. That's where it started. It just was very much a blip on the radar because they very quickly moved to OKC. But the man's played for like half the NBA now at this point. I almost wonder if he doesn't end up back on the Sonics just to sell jerseys for like the first year and to be a mentor and get inducted into their Hall of Fame. Like I could totally see that. But he did say they deserve a team. They must be super excited being it's nearly 20 years without basketball, man. It was always good to go on those Seattle-Portland road trips, so I'm looking forward to that for the NBA. I don't know if I'll be around when the Seattle team comes back. I'm still thinking about it. So he may not. He may be retired because it'll still be another 2 or 3 years. Again, they haven't fully approved the process, but I feel like it's as much of a guarantee. They're going to have 2 new franchises in Las Vegas and Seattle.
Well, they wouldn't be talking about it at this
as
point
much as they are. Yeah, absolutely.
No. They're just trying to get the bids up and get the groups together and all that. So, I mean, LeBron James at one point had stated he was interested in owning the.
I think he's been priced out.
Yeah,
I think he got priced out.
Yeah. I mean, you were being like, if he's going to be a part of it, it's going to be like Tom Brady is of the Raiders, where he's got 2% max.
Yeah, I think that would be the extent of it for him. He would be as well positioned as anybody not named Brady, but I think when you're talking $7 to $10 billion, man, that's a lot of money even for LeBron James or Tom Brady. Even if you put their money together, that's still a lot of money.
He would be the face of a group.
Yeah,
that's what would happen. He would retire, he'd be the face of a group, and LeBron James is the face of it. But there's another guy with a B behind his name.
Which is the one Magic is interested in?
Magic's trying to get into Major League Baseball right now.
No, Magic's got the Dodgers, right?
Yeah.
That's right. And partially with Washington.
In Washington, he's got that.
I thought I saw a note earlier today didn't print it out or whatever, that Magic was very much interested in the Vegas NBA team.
Probably because he can't, like, he's had a piece of the Lakers in the past, but now the Buss family, only one of the Busses has a piece of the Lakers, and the rest of it's owned by the guy who owns the Dodgers, I think. So
yeah. So I saw this from last month, or 2 weeks ago, actually. Magic is interested in NBA ownership. He owns a stake in the Dodgers, the Commanders, LAFC, the Washington Spirit of the Women's Soccer League, and the WNBA's LA Sparks. He's got all those. He recently joined Magi Expansion Group, which includes Las Vegas billionaire Mike Bellin, sports entertainment veteran Andre Cleveland, and their quest for an NBA expansion team in Las Vegas. So Las Vegas is what he would be pursuing. He said, Las Vegas is my home away from home, and I can't think of a better place to spend Magic Johnson Enterprises. So there you go with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Magic Johnson trying to be a part of that Las Vegas NBA group, but still not official. It's almost as official as it can be.
Everything that guy touches turns to gold. So good luck, Las Vegas, if he's part of it. I think that'll be a good thing for them. I mean, I'm sure he's got his failed business ventures because there's so many. You can't bat 1,000. But
the richest people on earth have failed business.
Yeah, exactly. So, but his
people on earth are rich because they borrow so much money.
Yeah, but like he's been very successful. You know, the other thing you need to do is, if you were a Magic Johnson level talent, and there's only one or so a year that comes out, you need to do what he did. And he had a lifelong family friend. And this was not someone who was just like a hanger on. This was, I think it was his actual father-in-law, was a financial genius and told him, you know, about getting involved in all these things, which he did. Like, he was one of the first ones on, like, he with Converse, you know, and then when he switched and like he just had ownership of all this stuff that was, if your name is Magic Johnson, we're going to, like, that's your name. Nobody else is going to own that but you. And that's one of the reasons he's made so much ridiculous money.
Yeah, he's done very well for himself. I'll just wrap it up with this because we're getting late on time. And I know most people don't care about the NBA, but there are times where there's interesting stuff. The tanking's been a big topic of late. I'm sure even if y'all don't pay attention, you've seen that come across your headlines or whatever. And Adam Silver did talk about that. He said, going into the next season, the incentives will be completely different than they are now. We are going to fix this, full stop. There's a special session of the Board of Governors in May to vote on lottery reforms that will be put in place ahead of June's draft, as well as tweaks to free agency and other preparations for the 26-27 season. They've got a lot of potential fixes to disincentivize intentional losing, but that's what he said. He said, we are going to fix this, full stop. So I would love to see that. I don't know that it would make me like more of a hardcore fan again, because it's not really why I lost interest to begin with, was the tanking. It just makes me less interested than I already was.
Well,
but it's clearly an issue.
Fixing the lottery would start with, because there are instances that the NBA could not prove otherwise, because that would mean they'd have to open up all the information. And the most recent one was just a year ago with Cooper Flagg, in that, you know, you had a team that made a horrible decision and that was in a very big television market, that they decided, like, hey, we better bail these guys out because that was stupid.
How about they told them beforehand, hey, you need to get Luka to LA because we need the Lakers to get even better, and we'll take care of you. Just wait.
I think it was more Nico made a stupid, embarrassing decision and they bailed him out.
No, it was very easy to do the conspiracy theory thing, especially on Twitter, because anything flies, no matter how ridiculous it is. And there's actually some reasons to try and say, well, maybe this is what happened, because otherwise it's too stupid to explain. Yeah, but the problem is, you would not take a successful world championship franchise and move them from Dallas. Because why? Because you would ultimately, guess what, the next round of expansion, want to go back to Dallas. And why would you restart when you've already got a storied, tradition-rich, as of the last couple of decades, and well-supported franchise? It would make no sense to screw the fans over and then come back 6 or 7 years later and be like, it's the Dallas Bandits. Don't you guys love it? Like, no.
Yeah,
the other part of it was everybody pointed to the Adelsons in Las Vegas. The Adelsons don't have anything in Las Vegas anymore. As part of the reason of coming to Texas was to explore this new uncharted territory where they could build a casino in Irving and do all of that. But they don't have the Vegas stuff like they used to. They weren't sitting there with multiple casinos under ownership going, well, if we just get the Mavs here, then we can really, they don't have that. So neither parts of that story added up from that point of view, but it got a lot of legs. Here's what I'll end off with, because I want
to go back to one. Mavericks had the worst team in basketball many times.
80s, 90s, yeah.
Get the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
Oh, and
then all of a sudden they take a unbelievable star, and of all places, the Lakers, and then they win the lottery. That's just too. It's pretty fishy.
Okay, we know what you're saying. You can just say it because I've said it, but
no,
I absolutely will never not believe.
I'm not so sure Adam Silver didn't say, "Hey, listen, we need the Lakers to get a little bit better. We need you to send him somewhere, and it's going to be LA. It's not going to be Minnesota, or it's not going to be Charlotte, and we will take care of you." But they've never won. I don't know if they'd ever won the lottery with all the bad teams they had early on.
It doesn't even matter to me at this point. That thing stank from high heaven, and you can try and say, like, no, dude, totally. It was that 0.00. It was totally karma. Okay, you have as much standing believing in this mythical thing potentially that we can't really prove called karma. That it was karma that did that. Is just as easy to explain. We'll say the NBA said, oh my God, if we don't help them out, that franchise is going to completely crater. Which is more believable? The maybe it was karma, or maybe the logical thing of like, oh my God, they screwed up so badly, we have to save them from themselves because otherwise the Dallas market will crash. I don't care at this point. I just will never not believe there wasn't something nefarious going on, and the whole thing was just stupid to begin with. But final note, and this is from college sports, so we can roll into the top 5 and all that after this. And I guess getting the coordinator stuff tomorrow so we can actually let it breathe a little bit. But news out of college sports to wrap this up. Scott Barnes stepping down as athletic director at Oregon State this afternoon. This has happened within the last 3 hours or so. Was there for almost a decade, has obviously been through a lot as of late, but in his 10th year, as nearly completed 10th year in Corvallis, the 63-year-old who had several years still remaining on his contract said he will be retiring come August 31st. He will serve as AD until August 31st, so basically into the next school year, and then he will retire, and he will become a senior advisor for athletics through at least the following year, through August 31st of 2027. So he's been there since December of 2016, replaced Todd Stansberry, and has had no shortage of detractors and naysayers and just a lot of, it's Oregon State the last couple of years, man. It's been tough. It's been really, really tough. No need to really explain that too much. And he's a guy that's taken a good brunt of that, as you can imagine, being the athletic director. But he is on his way out. So the change continues for Oregon State and the good people of Corvallis, and we'll see what they go out and do as far as a replacement goes. But that was notable as well. So there's a few things off the radar.
All right, Craig. Thank you very much, Craig. Smoak Thursday, every Thursday around 4:45 with Off the Radar. And we'll have Paul's top 5. We'll spin the wheel. We'll have quizzes. We'll have poll results. What?
And I just wanted to make sure that I get this message across. I know I'm changing my mind. I'm changing my mind. Congratulations to the people of Oregon State, who, I don't know if I got this across, are very excited about this news and are very much in favor of a changeover after the last few years. So this is a good thing if you didn't know how to kind of register this. I believe for the Beavers fans out there, this is actually a really great thing moving forward.
All right. When we come back, as I mentioned, we'll have Paul's top 5. We'll have quizzes, poll results, the wheel, and more. This is 365 Sports. It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
At Allen Samuels Dodge in Waco, we're making a declaration of deals. And these deals are so big, even fans of the Dallas Cowboys think this might finally be the year. Drive home a new Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo for just $32,990, or a new Jeep Compass Latitude 4x4 for $29,990. Take $11,000 off a new Jeep Gladiator Sport, or choose 0% for 60 months. Or we pay your sales tax. Right now, no payments for 90 days. Happening now at Allen Samuels in Waco.
This 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson and Brad Wilson in Waco, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe, with an individualized approach to addressing your financial needs, including education, savings, planning for retirement, and protection strategies. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, making sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Now it's time for 365 Sports. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Welcome into Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Flag and Anthem. Go to flagandanthem.com. Use our promo code 365sports for a discount at checkout. Today, we're going to do Top 5 Will Wade replacements at NC State. Look, yesterday we talked about Hubert Davis replacements at UNC. If you're a basketball coach and would like a big job in North Carolina, well, there are 2 open for you right now, and I will let the North Carolina and NC State fans battle it out over who everybody thinks is more important. My opinion doesn't matter on that, but it's UNC. Not to knock NC State, but let's be real here. One of you had Michael Jordan and one of you didn't. But let's talk NC State and their Will Wade replacements. Let's go to number 5. Phil Martelli Jr. at VCU. Man, he just drilled North Carolina for 1 in the first round and knocked them out. Really exciting up-and-coming coach. VCU's been a proving ground for coaches for a long time. And here's the thing, VCU fans, I know that your coaches keep getting poached, but you're really damn good at finding the next one over and over and over again. So if Phil Martelli Jr. leaves for this or any other job, don't worry about it. You're all good. Number 4, Flynn Clayman from High Point, also in North Carolina. Imagine that. This would be the second 1 year and gone head coach of the last 2 years for High Point, but they are, for lack of a better term, flying high when it comes to basketball right now in the NCAA tournament. They're a very talked about team, the big wins, what they're doing, the style of basketball they play. I think NC State fans will love Flynn Clayman's style at High Point coming to NC State if that happens. Number 3, Mike White at Georgia. Really close with NC State athletic director Boo Corrigan. Here's the thing. We don't really have to go back that far to find out who else other than Will Wade was swimming around the NC State waters, because Mike White was a year ago because of his relationship with Boo Corrigan. Now, is Georgia a better job than NC State? I think they're probably about equal. The ACC, NC State's been in the Final Four way more recently, just a couple years ago, 3 years ago now. So NC State, probably a better basketball job. Boo Corrigan, Mike White are close. I expect to see his name kicked around once again. He was in the NCAA tournament again at Georgia. Number 2, Justin Gainey. He's a Tennessee assistant. I used an older picture. Why would you just hire a Tennessee assistant instead of maybe another proven head coach? Well, because he's one of your great players that everybody talks about coming back and being the head coach. This is the warm and fuzzy, the favorite son coming back to coach the team. There would be no fans mad about Justin Gainey, who's been coaching with Rick Barnes and doing a great job at Tennessee, coming back and leading the program. But the one I think is number 1 is Josh Schertz from St. Louis. Just a year ago, went to St. Louis. So this is how college basketball works. And especially with the transfer portal, you go, you bring players, you follow all the way around. St. Louis was fantastic this year. And you saw their style of play. You saw what happened in the NCAA tournament. They can score a ton of points. They do a lot. The NC State fans will love this. Josh Schertz is ready for a big job like this. I think he'll be the favorite. But if Justin Gainey gets this job, don't be surprised. That's going to do it over the top 5. Let's spin that wheel. Okay, here we go. What's your favorite theme park, and do you have any good memories from it? Ooh, gosh, this is tough. I grew up in theme park heaven, so
I would say for me it's Universal Studios Florida, and I've been to some others that I enjoyed, especially in Florida, like Busch Gardens, Walt Disney, whole shebang there. But mid 90s, late 90s, just Universal Studios Florida. That was, for me as a theme park kid, getting just old enough to appreciate like the more the less cartoony movies and more of like, this is King Kong and Jurassic Park and like Jaws and all those brands. I really, really loved Orlando's Universal Studios.
The Back to the Future ride was
Back
one
to
of
the
my
Future's
favorites.
awesome. Like as a young
Yeah.
adult, I guess you could say it was like the perfect transition from Disney to Universal, and I loved going to Universal Studios.
I still, my number one has always been Hollywood Studios, MGM Studios, whatever. It's Hollywood Studios now. It used to be MGM Studios at Disney.
Yeah, because Amazon owns MGM now.
Yeah, they have the Indiana Jones stunt show to this day, which was my favorite thing in the world. Every time it hasn't changed in the 30 years they've been doing it. And it's still awesome. And I've seen it every single time I've been back. But yeah, that's probably my favorite of all of them. And, having grown up, I mean, every school youth group trip, little league trip, everything. I mean, I've been to all of them. I lived down the street. I had a season pass for 2 years to Busch Gardens because I lived literally 4 minutes away on Busch Boulevard when I lived in Tampa. And I love that too because they have they have the beer school, and we enjoyed. My roommate and I enjoyed that. We learned the rotations like we were at Ocean's 11 watching the guards leave. All right, you get your 4 free beers. 2 hours later, they switch out the staff, and you get 4 free beers again. So just go ride a couple roller coasters and have yourself a hot dog and come on back in and wash it all down.
In other news, Busch Gardens lost $425 million in beer sales over the course of the 90s and 2000s.
That's the one. When I was younger, I don't remember the trips that we made to amusement park. We went to a lot of sightseeing, like geysers and that kind of thing, Grand Canyon. But I love Busch Gardens. I haven't been there in forever, but I enjoyed Busch Gardens.
Next time you go land in Tampa and go to Clearwater, tell your brothers, let's go ride the Montu.
Yeah, that's what we need to do.
And you get their asses on the roller coaster rides. Yeah. At this point, I think that's probably a bad idea.
Legs, I just see the little old guy legs just hanging out from the bottom there.
I mean, the roller coasters there at Busch Gardens were a lot of fun. I know they're probably all changed over from when I last went there, but man, I really love Six Flags Over Texas in mid-August, when it's 137 degrees, and it's even worse with the parking lot surrounding you. I cannot stand Six Flags Over Texas. Late in the summer, it's a miserable experience.
Yeah, I haven't been to Six Flags in a very long time. We used to get free tickets to Six Flags from the radio station, and there was at least once a year someone would be like, all right, we're giving away 2 free tickets, and they'd come and pick them up and be like, look, I've got 6 people in my family, and you're like,
yeah.
We're giving away 2 free tickets.
Dude, and I'm not
I hated that.
I'm not even knocking the rides. It's just the times that I went, it was 1,000 degrees and just brutally miserable.
Watch a game at Old Arlington Stadium. The bleachers.
I'm surprised that, especially back when Old Arlington Stadium was right there in Six Flags, there weren't more deaths by melting.
Dude,
what happened to Sam?
And I know the answer is we'll go during Halloween Horror Nights or whatever, but I didn't live in Dallas. I didn't have a chance to just go fly over there real quick and make it a night. Or otherwise, I probably would have done things like that. So, yeah.
Worst sunburn I ever had in my life was fishing with my grandfather in Florida under the bridge, the Skyway Bridge, getting back to the house where he lived. And my mom goes, go to the bathroom. I was like, I don't need to. No, I had to sit in vinegar because I was so burned. Boils, like the welts. Oh, it was horrible. I mean, not
surprised
horrible.
You still don't smell like it a little bit.
Yeah, it was the worst thing, and it was miserable. But yeah, all right.
Okay, trivia. On this day in 1973, which team did UCLA defeat to clinch their 7th straight national title, coached by the man who would eventually replace John Wooden at UCLA, Villanova, Florida State, Memphis State, or Kentucky?
Wasn't it who replaced him? Gene Bartow?
Yeah, see that I don't know.
Yeah, Gene Bartow, I think, is the one who replaced John Wooden. I know Memphis State had a hell of a team back then. Obviously, I want to think it's Memphis State, but Gene Bartow. I thought he was at UAB or something like that.
Craig, you got any idea here?
I don't have a clue.
I don't either.
The answer here.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Let's give it a shot. Memphis?
Hey.
I'm not bad at these old guys. These back 50 years ago. Yeah, I remember that. I can't read that for the life of me. Gene Bartow was the head coach, though. I didn't know that, but I do remember he replaced John Wooden. Paul, read it. I can't see that.
I can't. Yeah, it's a little too far away. But let's go. Just go to the next one. The people can read.
I got it. In one of the greatest title game performances ever, Bill Walton shot 21 of 22 from the field to score 44 points. 87-66 win secured UCLA's 7th straight title and perfect 30-0 record. And then it flipped on me as well. So that's all I got.
Okay. Let's go to the next one. On this day in 1979, the most watched game in college basketball history featured, I mean, this is too easy. Featured a legendary showdown between which two icons known for elite passing and basketball IQ?
Bottom of the screen.
Yeah, Magic and Larry.
Yep.
Yeah, Larry Legend.
I didn't cry that night when Michigan State won because they were so fun to watch and Magic was amazing. But I watched almost every Saturday throughout that year as I hear about this team called Indiana State, back when you could watch maybe a game or two on the weekend. And I love watching them play and love Bird. But, Magic and them dominated him in the championship.
Yeah, Michigan State defeated Indiana State 75-64, ending the Sycamores' 33-0 undefeated season. Magic Johnson led Sparty with 24 points to earn MVP honors, while Larry Bird put up 19 points and 13 rebounds. The 1979 Classic still holds the record for the highest television rating for any college basketball game over. And these are the guys who built the modern NBA.
Yeah.
Without this was not only the greatest night in college basketball history. I don't think the NBA owners realized it then, but this was the night that their thing became a real thing.
I want to think that is he from Hickory, Indiana?
No, he's from French Lick.
French Lick, Indiana.
From French Lick.
Yep. That was a great year. Loved it.
Hickory, Indiana is Hoosiers.
Loved watching Indiana State week in and week out until they lost. All right, here we go. The polls. Which underdog wins, pulls off an upset tonight? And the lead, UT and Purdue.
No.
Nope. The lead would be
Iowa
over Nebraska.
Oh, I didn't want to read that. That's very mean.
That's why. So, yes, they're in second place. Illinois over Houston.
I thought we were going to get a spoiler so we could watch that screen better.
We need the guy to come in and put it in. So we've got the equipment. We just don't have the guy yet. So Arkansas over Arizona brings up the rear there, 183 total votes.
I don't know if Iowa beating Nebraska would be an upset. Maybe with the odds or whatever it would be. There we go.
Yeah.
But Illinois over Houston would be huge. But Texas, Purdue, okay.
I can see why Iowa's the choice here. I mean, two pretty evenly matched teams.
They split during the season. Very familiar with one another. Yeah, I think I think all these games are really intriguing, though. I'm excited. I'm excited to go home and watch these games tonight, particularly the Arkansas-Arizona game. I'm really, really looking forward to that one. I think you're right. I may be doing DoorDash tonight, so I don't have to worry about cooking something. So I can just be ready, do a little business. I get my damn computer to work with all my tabs and internet and chill. All right. Only 18 votes.
Which of the big four Pop-Tarts flavors is your all-time favorite?
This is such a route.
Frosted strawberry beats brown sugar cinnamon. S'mores, this is the one I voted for. S'mores Pop-Tarts is just an amazing thing. And frosted blueberry, if it's there, I'll eat it.
I thought brown sugar cinnamon would win.
No, this is frosted strawberry.
The first time there was the Pop-Tarts, we asked the question one time asked what was your favorite, and brown sugar cinnamon won. Yeah. But I was a frosted strawberry guy.
I was helping Rez produce yesterday, so I didn't get to answer the Peeps question. I'm a big Peeps guy. I like Peeps. I'm weird like that. It's my weird.
Still don't know if I know what that is.
Yeah, I'm going to bring you one. Hold on. Stay right there.
Okay.
You got them over there?
Yeah.
Well, I would say brown sugar cinnamon would be my vote. But I don't know what your definition of a route is, because this is definitely not a route in any way, shape, or form with any of these four choices. But still, I would say, thank you, Paul. Brown sugar cinnamon.
No, that's a route. It's a route. No,
it's not.
No, there would have been if that's a political race, there's a runoff between those two.
Here's the peep.
This is a Dr. Pepper peep.
Is this an animal that I'm eating?
Yes, it's a chicken.
This feels pretty cool, but
it's a marshmallow.
Yeah, but what were the ones during Easter though that I did not like?
The Cadbury egg.
Yeah, I don't know if I like those.
It was a marshmallow with sugar on it.
A toddler in your like the knowledge of just everyday kind of like what's a peep?
That Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper peep.
What's a marshmallow? I can kind of taste the Dr. Pepper.
Yesterday I said I love marshmallows, but I didn't like these. But I don't know if I've ever had these. I'm thinking about that Easter.
You're like a young doe, like in the woods, just discovering things for the first time. Even though you've been around for a really long time at this point, it's like, what's a peep?
Yeah.
I like this. Okay, there's a hint of Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
It's not overwhelmingly Dr. Pepper, nor would I expect it to be, but it's okay. I definitely could not eat many of these at all.
This is about the 5th peep I've had today because Andrew made me rank them for an Instagram short today. So you're going to be having
at some point tonight, buddy.
Oh,
she blows.
I think I'm just going to tweet. But he bought this. He said you're going to need a palate cleanser, and when it's up, go look for it. It's not there yet, but he bought this 100% dark, unsweetened chocolate that only psychos eat, like
super
Rez.
Healthy people.
Didn't you say Lint? Is it with Lint?
Lint.
L-I-N-D-T?
Yeah, Lint. Yeah. And he made me try that. And my first bite was like, oh, I like dark chocolate. And then the second bite was like, no, I don't.
All right. Well, there was my first ever Dr. Pepper peep and probably my last ever Dr. Pepper. I don't dislike it. I've experienced it now. So I don't think I need a second one.
Either you like it immediately or don't. I don't think it's going to be like something I could get used to. Now, if there was cherry,
there's a reason that this stuff is only around once a year. I know Peeps has gotten into the Christmas game too and Halloween a little bit, but you belong.
If you like Dr. Pepper a lot and you like Peeps, go crazy. But those are okay. I wouldn't need the whole package like that. Though,
never heard of it till yesterday when Craig explained.
You've never heard of Peeps?
Never. No.
How?
Well, how would I?
Because it's like candy corn on Halloween.
Yeah, okay, candy corn's bad too.
Yeah.
I also never had heard of Crustables or Uncrustables, whatever they're called, until a year ago when a friend of mine playing golf goes, you hungry? I would. He gave me a grape jelly.
But those aren't all household things that have been around forever.
Seasonal, but
have you ever seen at HEB on Woodard Acres? You go there, you got a whole massive area
are great.
of them.
Yeah, they're great. Try the honey. I tried to go to the Smuckers people and say, here's what we should do. If you're on low carb, you do Crustables. You take the crusts from the Uncrustables and just give those to people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I do love a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with the no crust. I just get that middle part. But okay, well, I'm now eating a Dr. Pepper peep. That was fine. It's good.
You can finally die happy.
That's the first and last peep I've had in a while.
Nothing else to accomplish in your life.
Nobody loves peanut butter, jelly, nuts, and a banana sandwich the way Andrew does.
Wait till we tell you next year about Easter eggs.
Oh.
And
do they have chocolate bunnies and stuff?
Yeah, they have chocolate bunnies.
What are those called? Chocolate bunnies?
Chocolate bunnies, yeah.
Thank you to Rez. Thank you to Andrew. Thanks to Logan, also to Garrett. Thank you, our audience. We appreciate you every day, and our great sponsors for Craig and Paul and David Smoak. Tomorrow, we got a pretty good lineup, and we'll be back at 3. Good night on 365 Sports.